been enveloped by the powers of the four guardians. Throughout your cultivation journey, you'll run into various encounters and challenges. Sometime into a match, spirit collecting bells will appear, and all surviving teams will be separated into groups. Each group is assigned one spirit collecting bell, whose location is visible to members of the teams in the group. Approach the bell and interact with it for supplies to drop and to activate a countdown. You can sound the bell repeatedly during this time. Each interaction provides supplies and shortens the countdown. The elemental powers will form a crate at the end of the countdown, after which the spirit collecting bell will run out of power and can no longer be used. Open the crate to get tons of rewards. Note that other teams in the same group will battle for the same bell. Use the minimap to determine how many players are nearby. Also, skill cooldowns are reduced in the bell's vicinity, so use them to your advantage to guard the bell's rewards. Sacred Quartet's final challenge is to unite the four Sacred Guardians. During Sacred Quartet, you'll be able to pick up elemental fragments in matches. Use the fragments in the Elemental Clash event to combine elements. When you and your teammates each bring a different element into a match, and all members survive until victory is attained, the Guardians United Challenge will be completed. Players who complete the challenge for the first time can claim 200 elemental fragments from the event page and will unlock the new Guardians United achievement. Embark on your sacred cultivation journey now and forge your story into its own legend.
Good evening and welcome back to the second day of the PUBG Mobile European Wonder League Finals. Here we go once again. 5 more games coming up for all of you here this evening. My name is Neptura and I am joined by DK. How you doing today, DK?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. For a moment there, I was like, why is Neptura shouting at me? And I realized my volume was just really high. So, yeah, other than that, it's going pretty well. Day one was crazy, as we saw, right? So we saw some pretty ridiculous gameplay in the best way come through from these teams. So I'm going to be looking on to day number 2, and I'm expecting things to be even more insane because, as we know, the teams are going to be trying to vie for that top position. And one particular team finds themselves in a very familiar position, rather, right at the top of the board. It is no stranger to see, not strange at all to see Galatasaray Esports holding on to that. But I think the big thing that we are going to be looking at here today is what will the rest of the teams do in response, right? Are we going to see Bonfire, Goat, Lider, and all the others now really try and bring it forward? But especially the question, I think, is centered onto Retiam, R8, and Malzanova, because we want to see what they're going to do. We'll include Zeus in that mix as well. We want to see that same performance that we had from them in the previous stages. I want to have that. Where's that, right? We didn't see any of that yesterday. So today, I want to have them really stepping into that same kind of performance level.
I agree. Yeah, we need to see a lot of these teams step it up just a little bit. We saw a lot of teams over in that middle section as well, very tied up or very, very close to each other. So there's a lot of still to play for here. I mean, Galatasaray take more than just 94 points in the first day. They take also the top 3 spots in that player focus as well. And I think it just makes a situation where these teams, the rest of the lobby, actually has a lot still to play for. Just because Galatasaray took so much, it almost feels like this is not the best game that these other teams can play, because in some ways they just simply weren't allowed to by Galatasaray.
Yeah, so I'm going to be looking towards that, and I mean, looking at these ladies and their stats there, it's very impressive, right? It is always so dang impressive to look at those numbers being brought in, and that was in one day. Right, it's not multiple days, only one single day. But of course, speaking about the days, well, here is today's map rotation, and it's the same as we've had in the previous 2 weeks. So the teams have now become quite accustomed to working their way through this rotation, but now we want to see them use it to their advantage, right? I want to see who's going to be the next one to clutch it up in Sanhok? Who's going to go absolutely crazy to, just light the lobby on fire and just, pick up everything and anything they can find?
I almost wonder if Galatasaray's strategy today is going to be sort of to chill on day number 2, be consistent but not go all out, right? I think that's something we see from them in the first and third or final day of an event. I think that could be something we see from them in day 2, where they're kind of just a little bit more chill, and that will give those teams a real opportunity to rack up those points on all of these maps. So yeah, I'm very excited to see, as you said, who's going to be the big dog over on Sanhok, right? Because that's a big map that a lot of teams can really, really use to their benefit. So I'm really excited to see who will take advantage of that. But coming into this Erangel as well, we said this yesterday and, in day number 1, that Erangel, the first Erangel, is going to set the tone for the rest of the day. And today in day 2 is no different, because now we're starting to get into that area where it's just a little bit more pressure coming through here. It's kind of, we're getting to that halfway point. Sanhok is going to be halfway through all 3 days. And then after that Sanhok, it's kind of like, oh my God, we don't have that many games left. We've got to do something with this. So this first Erangel is definitely going to be showing us who is ready for that next challenge.
But also just based on the pacing that we've been seeing come through from these teams, right? I don't think you can afford to not give it your all from the start of the day, especially today, right? Mm-hmm. Today you have to play like it's the last day and every single point matters, because realistically it does. Everything matters right here, because there's some teams in here, if you give them the opportunity, they're going to run away with it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it's not a casual stroll. They're sprinting. They're not jogging. They're sprinting. They run like they're being chased. They're not being chased, but that's the way that they perceive it. So you got to try and keep them in check, right? So it is going to require a very specific kind of play style, but that is all reliant on what the teams are going to bring through here. We know that they are all super capable of pulling out these moves. They just got to bring them in. And yeah, as I said before, I want to see those teams that are currently situated at the lower end of the leaderboard. I want today to be the day that they unlock their inner beast mode, right? I want them to just go crazy. Not because we made predictions, but they've performed. And I want to see that performance come through again. I want to see that reflecting on the battlefield. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And I think Erangel is going to be a good start, a good opportunity for these teams to really pick it up, because we ended yesterday on Erangel. We're starting today on Erangel. So there's good carryover, but we want to see that momentum now really getting ramped up.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big word for today, is momentum, right? Consistency is one thing. Momentum is another. You can be consistent on 0 points. We all know this. Momentum won't leave you in 0 points for long. So you've really, really got to keep an eye on that, I think, as we go through these next 5 games, the first of which will be coming up very, very shortly. But I mean, we talk about this a lot, but I do want to just slightly mention, I suddenly had a feeling that maybe this first game is going to be a little bit of a hard shift, a little bit of a funky zone. And while, that's not something we generally talk about, because we're more about the teams and what they're doing and all of this, the zone does play a massive factor in how the teams play and how it goes for them, right? Red Tiam or Galatasaray or any of those really heavy hitter teams could have an awful game 1 if that zone does not go their way. So it is something that's very, very important.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be quite important to see that continuation come through. But I mean, you were talking about heavy hitters, right? I just want to put stuff in context here. Why I'm talking about teams like MEWL Nova, Red Tiam that find themselves towards the lower end of the standings, right? If you look at the overall performances across the entire event, Red Tiam are sitting at the top. 182 total points, 117 eliminations that they've been able to find across all the matches that they've played so far, right? So there's no reason to see a team like that not perform. MEWL Nova, right? They're sitting in 3rd place with looking at all the points that they've been able to secure. 104 eliminations, 161 points total, right? 3 chicken dinners, the same for Red Tiam, the same for Zeus. Zeus, also 3 chickens. Where's those performances? We want to see these teams. I mean, Galatasaray, even though they played an insane game yesterday, they're only in 10th place with regards to the overall performances that we've seen so far in all the previous games, right? So they have something that's counting in their favor, Now flex. We want to see that,
Mhm,
right? Bring
mhm.
it out. We want the battlefields to be
Ooh.
hot and toasty, and this zone is definitely going to help quite a bit with that.
Yes, it absolutely is. I mean, Zeus, talk about, you wanting to see a performance from them. Zeus are in an incredible position to do some really heavy gatekeeping on these teams on the south side, right? If they move up to that edge, even if they moved up even to Potato Hill, they could absolutely do some carnage over onto OOC, possibly onto Galatasaray as well as Fenerbahce. So there could definitely be some options here for Zeus, or maybe they just go to Rozhok. I don't know. I'm not them, but still, there's lots of options for Zeus in particular to do something with this zone and do something really cool as well. So definitely going to be looking towards them. I also noticed, what was that, 3 different teams down onto the way south side, down onto the island. So that's something that they're going to have to really, really look to accomplish, is getting into that zone ASAP.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking towards the Western Bridge because it does seem to be a good option, at least for rotating off of that island. But if you're a team like Not Noob, I think that would be a good position to try and set up in anticipation of a potential rotation heading that way. If you, of course, going to be opting for the Eastern Bridge, it's going to be difficult, right? Because we've got Leader Esports, we've got OOC, and potentially maybe even AOR, all just waiting in close proximity, currently looting up. So yeah, I think once that zone shift is going to come through, which should be in about 5 minutes, I think, right? Yeah, I think there's a lot that could maybe still happen in that time period, but I think the best play here for the teams towards that southern side would be to get the loot and get out, right? And it does seem like maybe that's something Goat is opting for right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's something, I think that's the wisest choice to make here. I will also notice that the teams are kind of doing the same thing over in Yasnaya Poliana, right? You have 3 or 4 different teams all situated down up there, and they're not really doing much except just looting, having their own space, and then they'll probably move on up. I'm really interested to see who's going to take Stolber first. I think that's going to be such an important position to grab early for any of these teams. I think R8 probably have the best chance of doing that the soonest, because I think if you're in the city, it automatically takes you a little bit longer to leave. But that could be a really, really important spot in zone, just because of the exit points that you are gaining by being there. If the zone goes over to Severny, for instance, you've got that north side cleared and ready for yourself. So it could be a very good spot for anybody here. I really just want to see who takes it first.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that one will play out. I was groaning a little bit because I did see Retiam and Mels Nova getting real close to each other up on this northern side. Thankfully for both of them, nobody started anything. They just like, you know what, let's just keep going. Let's get the loot. We can't afford not to do something. So, yeah, I like that. It's a good decision. You were talking about R8 and their potential rotation up in towards Stolber. Realistically, that would make a lot of sense. But that's our perspective, right? Let's hope that we'll find out soon what their perspective is on these potential rotations. But I think not only is a position like Stolber, I think even Severny or that warehouse close to center zone, I think either of those could also be quite a feasible position to move in towards. The warehouse may be a little bit risky. I know there's those compounds pretty close to that warehouse as well. All right, that might be a bit of an altered position to move in towards, but especially when that zone shifts, seeing that we already have a slight bit of a reduced playable area, you want to try and take anything that could help kind of strengthen your overall positioning, especially if that zone kind of moves out of Yasnaya Poliana and pulls up to either the north or that western side.
Yeah, this is gonna be an exciting match for sure. I think we've got a real good game coming up ahead of us, because the zone is moving in, and wherever this zone goes is going to be pretty hectic, right? If it centers up on Yasnaya, we already have a huge cluster of teams there. If it centers up on Stolber, still no one has gone there. R8 do not look to be going into that position. They're taking a center spot instead. The other teams onto the other side, if it goes over to shooting range and things, all those teams in Yasnaya and the teams on the south that are outside of zone will be trying to get over there. So this is definitely heating up to be one of the more chaotic matches that we've seen, if that is even possible, right? But it could shape up that way for sure. And especially as we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams still outside the zone, and 4 of those teams are actually on over by Milta on that eastern bridge side. So there's definitely going to be some altercations going through there before anyone even gets to the zone.
Yeah, that could definitely be an opportunity. So I'm going to be looking at Not Noobs. It does seem like, at least for the time being, they are partially committing to pushing across. Kiss, for some reason, is heading towards the blue, aka Novo, aka Bonfire. Why? Anyway, the rest of the teams, I like this, that they're getting closer and closer, right? Zeus, yeah, also just trying to figure out how they're going to look to play it here. We got them positioned up in towards that fuel station. R8, yep, this is that warehouse position angle that I was talking about. You can see them taking kind of occupancy of both the structures and the warehouse over towards that southwestern side. So I think this is a good kind of split that they have here. Will allot them quite a bit of information and opportunity. But yeah, I think it's going to rely quite heavily on what the zone is going to do next.
That's really what we're waiting for. We still have a minute, though, until it goes, right? I think going down to the south side, that Pinky from Not Noobs was trying to do that 1-3 off-angle split that we saw work so well in yesterday's games, but the zone is just a little bit too much. I think the zone's not close enough. The circle's not close enough for Not Noobs to really pull that off well. So they're going to be disengaging from that very quickly. Lighter have free reign now. AOR moving up to the eastern side. They could potentially take Stalber if they so choose, because again, no one's up there. TPES have taken that warehouse just below Stalber, but other than that, that mountain is completely cleared. So AOR have a really easy run through, and as we see Zeus, you're right, they're over down by the by that gas station, and they will be looking to just hold there pretty quietly. And I thought it's an interesting play that most of these teams make and do go for that gas station, because there's not really any advantage in terms of high ground. You've got that hill across from you, very, very above you and very open to that. So it's interesting that these players like to go for it.
Yeah, I think it's more of a transitional point, not necessarily a permanent position to take occupancy of. So it's interesting to see how the teams look to play through it. But for the time being, the zone is going to be quite kind to the teams. It doesn't give us a super aggressive shift. But yeah, here we go. It is going to be go time. Oh, over onto the bridge leading towards Yasnaya. It's going to be Ida Esports just backing quite a bit of a punch into the side here of OOC, as they look to get themselves further and further towards that center zone. 7H, they get dropped down. So that does create a little bit of a thing there for OC, but they still have 2 players up. So there's still a few options available. But I'm curious to see how they're going to look to kind of patch things up moving in, because teams are just cramming on up towards center zone. And it's going to be very hot and maybe a little bit uncomfortable as well.
It absolutely is, but we're going to start seeing a little bit of that Stalber action as the zone has moved over in that direction. And so AOR do have Stalber. They are the queens of the mountain right now, but the rest of them all have to go around at the base, and that's going to be the second player from OOC going on down to Ida there. Mel's Nova now looking to actually crash in, or at least contest, the position for TPES.
Ooh. Okay, I like it. I like it. This could be an interesting play, especially now for Mels. As we know, they will definitely be quite happy securing themselves 1 or 2 additional points. Okay, maybe a lot more than 1 or 2. They want to get a boatload of points here. But yeah, I think this could be an interesting angle to play off of. Again, looking at the hillside, it's not the easiest position to really aggress onto an opposing team, especially if they've got that height advantage. But looking over towards the far side here, we've got Fenerbahce over on towards the coastline to the northern side, just reaching right into the side of, I believe that's Zeus that we have alongside them partially, but there's a few other players in the area as well. Well, look at that. Mel's now finding themselves in a kind of reverse situation, right? They now have Ida coming through below them, and they now also have the opportunity to play that overreach on towards them. Galatasaray, of course, is one of those squads that we have off in the distance. Them and Zeus have the same color, so yeah, it's interesting to see both teams kind of positioned relatively close together.
It is indeed, and Ida seemed to make off with just that one elimination against them, right? So Mel's Nova pick up one, but that's going to be it. Ida decided that was not really their best case scenario there. I'm confused what's going down in the blue zone, though, because you had Bonfire trying to use the western bridge there for a second. Nice nades coming through, a little bit early, but that spray should be quite good there, but yeah, but then Bonfire decided, actually, we're right behind Not Noobs, so they've gone back over to the eastern bridge and are now using that. So there's a whole bunch going on in the blue zone while all these teams are fighting it out, which might actually work in those teams' favor on the south side. Once they move in, there's not as many teams to get rid of.
Yeah, I think it might be an unintentional situation unfolding towards that southern side. But it is very intentional right here in this engagement. The contention for the hillsides of Stelba, Mels and TPS now looking quite relentless. I like the fact that Ida decided to rather just disengage. They've moved a little bit further over on towards that eastern side, so that would buy them a bit more of an opportunity. But Samina needs to watch out, because as soon as XQ gets that angle, it is going to be go time. As you can see, Mel's now just trying to figure out what will their approach be. But I like the fact that they've actually sent O'Daddy and D1 to now rotate up north of TPS and again play that leverage down on towards them. So Mel's going for a big brain 2-2 split here.
Yeah, it's a great play to make. This warehouse is really good except for that ridge, and so Mels are going to be taking as much advantage of it as they can, which is really nice. Another big brain 2-2 split we see coming through here is from R8 onto the warehouse and the compound. There's a really nice scope of information that they're able to glean from the surrounding area at this height, at this level. So a really good informational play coming in from R8. If somebody does push them, they will have to regroup quite quickly, because it's just a little bit too far to really help either duo here. But it is certainly a great start for them. And Stalber here, AOR silently, we do see a team possibly looking to just try and get up to it. It is OOC. They are just a duo, so AOR should be able to defend their position effectively, but this split is a little thin if they want to do that.
Yeah, and the zone does them dirty. It hard shifts over to the west.
Oh, that's nasty.
This warehouse, or the warehouse in the compound that R8 has, is going to be prime real estate. So expect quite a bit of contention to come through. The same could be said for Saverni, and I think this is where Goat are going to feel quite happy about their rotation, because Goat and Victor, they just very recently made it up into zone coming through on the west, and they've pushed into Saverni itself, and that's where the zone is. So they are going to be smiling. We did see all the other blue teams make their way up. So that is, of course, Bonfire that have now joined us in the zone itself, as well as the Not Noob squad. But yeah, there we go. You can see everybody now just starting to push over AOR, TPS, and everybody else. Just all trying to vie for position moving forward. And we still have all 16 teams alive.
Wow. That's kind of insane, and I bet, you know what, I think S2G are very, very mad right now. They've had Saverni for the entire game. They just moved out because they thought, I don't think it's going to be in here. I think we need to move out. Ooh. And look where it goes. And Red Tian Blossom, here we go. Is this the start of the little bit more of what we're used to seeing from them? They get one elimination here. Hana grabs that one away and is going to just heal up very quickly. AOR silently, on the other hand, trying to do her best against Ida. Is not going to go down. Anissa is going to have to go down there. Nice little bit of a response there from her teammates, but not sure how well this is really going to go. R8 now, this is where the elimination feed is going to start packing a punch. We're going to see that repetitive shooting through here as each of these teams go at it. S2G and TPES, OOC and TPES, R8 and Not Noobs. It's all going down here as Kitty is just trying her best to get some of these knocks and get that response going. It's a good one so far.
Yeah, it's looking pretty decent. Let's see if Kitty is going to be able to maintain that perfect approach here. So far, they are just looking to bounce back, but a quick little bit of a peek over onto the side there of Melzinova as they start to find a bit of a foothold. And now it's going to be Ida that will fall victim to the spray downs. It is going to be absolute decimation. Ida out, our first squad to leave with 2 eliminations to their name. You were asking about Red Team. Based on the way that they're kind of moving through Severny and just the kind of approach that I see them taking, I think this could potentially be an opportunity for that now to be the play. But unfortunately for Cat Veins, that nade came a little bit too close. It's going to be Hannah trying to just find a bit of an opening or even just create a bit of an opening. Let's see if Yagi is going to run into the utility. That nade is coming close. We're going to watch for those windows, the openings, and they continue to find the hits. Hannah with a quick reposition, trying to get their way over towards Cat Veins to bring the fight back as the team could look to get themselves back in contention. But Hannah's looking low on that HP though. Oh.
Isn't she just? They're trying their best, but there's just too many teams all the way around, right? Lighter is looking as well as Go as well. So there's a few angles to be careful of here. I think Cat Veins is gonna have to go on out here. So Red Team cut short a little bit here, just stopped in their tracks. It was looking like it was gonna be some good momentum coming through, but as a duo, they're gonna have to work very, very hard to just stay alive in this sort of zone as the zone shifts again. And now this entire fight has been kind of for nothing because we see that white circle and it's gone away from this town entirely. It's not in Severny anymore.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a great opportunity for Red Team. I'm seeing that they're not fully committed on pushing further into the city. There could still be quite a bit of an opportunity for them to bounce back. But speaking about bouncing, look at Melzinova as they now have to bounce into the lobby. AOR making swift work there of them. Quick response and, of course, trying to just secure their position over towards the edge of zone. But we are down to 14 crews, and it is going to cause still quite a bit of carnage. We got 41 players left. Beautiful shot coming through here from Tiger. But this does limit the options now for Red Team as they might decide to maybe try and reach in, sending out quite a bit of the utility. So I'm expecting to see that number for the throwables being quite high yet again at the end of this match. But it's going to be go time. Nice bit of a spray. Nice spray there as Tiger finds the connection. The knock is in. Now it's going to be Kawhi also trying to bring in a bit of that follow-up play. We've got Linus up top, trying to keep a bit of overwatch. It is going to be a nice bit of a push. This is Red Team trying to tighten their grip here. And so far, they're holding quite well up against the side of Goat.
They really are. They're really making this very difficult for Go indeed. And Not Noobs have done the correct play here, right? They are just 2, but they've moved around to that inside the zone position. There we go. Goat and Victor do go out, but now Tiam have to worry about Not Noobs. They're on a really strong ridge position, and they could definitely try and gatekeep this.
Yeah, they're going to have to be very, very cautious. And I'm not quite sure if Red Team knows that Not Noobs are situated essentially right there next to them. But yeah, good play. Beautiful nade that we saw coming through there from Kawhi. And now it's going to be up to Kiss and Pinky to see if they can maybe make a little bit of magic happen there for Not Noobs. Meanwhile, over towards the other side of zone, more towards the northern edge, you can see AOR now just patrolling the area. We got several teams from Nebache towards their north, a few shots flying over there. We've got Galatasaray also holding up not too far away, but we jump back over on towards Not Noobs as they now try to apply a little bit more of that pressure. But the Red Team seem to be holding their own, right? Not going to be falling to it just yet. AOR now have to face up against Fenerbahce as Fenerbahce makes their play for zone.
Yes, indeed, and a nice little split coming in from Fenerbahce as well. They're using what angles they have, and that's a bad nade! Oh, Jalavaya! She takes out her own team just like that as the last chance falls with a bad nade by the Pluggy. Taiga is going to go down here. She passes by S2G. It was a valiant effort, but it was not going to work. OOC now. Lighter goes out. Galatasaray looking rough here as TPES do go out eventually, but in such an open area, I'm not sure that it can get both of those players back up. And all of a sudden, this position, R8, grouped up, are the only ones in zone.
Yeah, everything now just gets taken to the next level. Zeus go out next. We are down to our final 8. You can see Kawhi is still going to be holding nice and steady out on the edge here. So there could still be quite a bit of an opportunity. S2G, of course, quite aware of her whereabouts. So it is going to be quite difficult for Retiam Kauai to get into that zone securely. You've got the Not Noobs holding up there as well. Up comes the Wildcats looking to do their thing, trying to find a bit of an opportunity, a bit of a play. Oh, this could be a cheeky connection, but now where is it going to go? Because all these teams still have to get their butts in that zone, right? The Blues going to start closing up, and they're going to have to find a way to muster the strength to keep running forward.
But how do you? I mean, this is such a difficult zone. Look how open it is. You can see it through her 6x scope there. That there's just not really anywhere she can go. You got teams up to that north side, teams on the high ground, teams below, teams out in the field. I mean, S2G just rolling around, and Kauai's doing the only thing she can do is try and get this opening knock, try and make some distraction here so that she can move forward on her own, but it doesn't look like that's really going to be something she can do here. She's right on the edge of zone. She's going to have to move in. Galatasaray go out here. 5 eliminations is really a good result, but seems small compared to what we're used to seeing. So they go out fairly early here. Now Fenerbahce really shown what they're made of here. They got a little bit of this dip. That's quite good, but could be nadeable. They have to watch out, but 8 eliminations is quite good. Even if they go out here, they'll be happy. Same with Tiam. 5 eliminations is a great start to their day comparatively to yesterday as well. And S2G, though, looking in real form as... You know, we see only 4 eliminations on their side, but the way they're moving and trying to control the zone looks really, really good from them.
Yeah, I mean, things are looking pretty impressive over on towards that western side of zone. But let's see what's going to shape up over on towards the east. So we've got R8 Sapphire, essentially the only team secured in this region. We still have a concentration of players over towards that southern side as well. But it does seem like the north is receiving quite a bit of love at this point. Nice bit of a reach, trying to find the angle on towards Lucy, as R8 also still need to try and find a way, an anchor point to get themselves secured in towards the zone. As we can see, they do have very limited options, but there's still a bit of a chance. Quite a few trees, a few boulders, and the compound does provide them with at least some kind of security, at least for the time being, however temporary it might be. But S2G, though, they're going to look to kind of just push it in, right? Just get that position on the edge, and then maybe just try and pick up all the points and elims they can find.
I would like to just point out that in the middle of all this chaos, Bonfire are still here as a full squad. They've been on Military Island for half the game and nowhere in zone at any point. They are still not in zone right now because down to that south side, I think they are still down the hill. So they're going to have to move in eventually, but somehow they've managed to weasel their way into a top 5 position. Now you're starting to see them go down here. They might go out completely, but still, this is an excellent position for them to go out in.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, you could call that a very strategic rotation that they're bringing in. But of course, well, as they are just joining the party, they do find themselves getting and receiving that very warm welcome over onto the edge. It is, of course, none other than the Wildcats that are quite eager to welcome them back into the lobby. Now, S2G going to be feeling the pressure. R8 starts pushing on forward. Dynasty going to try and defend. It's going to be Mally with a very swift play there. Does wrap that up. And R8 up to 8 elims. And it's just them and the Wildcats, right? The final 2 squads now left to duke it out. So we find ourselves with a 3v4. And it does seem like the zone is going to be favoring the Wildcats. Both squads on 8 players. 8 elims, rather.
8 players, indeed. I mean, it's wild that they have 8 eliminations as well, because the Wildcats, I don't think we've really heard much from them. I forgot they were kind of here. We've been so occupied with teams on other sides of the zone that it was not a name that was really coming up. But here they are, top 2, with the zone on their side and 8 eliminations. I mean, Elim has a squad wipe. Shanks has 3 as well. So, you know, they're doing some really, really good work here. I like the spread coming out as well. Really just trying to net in R8 as much as possible. And we'll see what R8's response is to that. But I doubt they're going to go down without a fight.
Yeah, and I mean, Wildcats, they still have their full squad up. The full squad that they've moved into this match with, even though it's only 3, right? All 3 players are still in it, and they're going to try and win it. But now the sprays come up. Shanks quickly just trying to patch themselves.
Nice.
Oh, but the beautiful headshot there. making its way up. Now it's going to be go, 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 as R8 have the opener that they've been waiting for. One player standing between them, and now they're going to try and wrap it up, but they do succeed in their efforts. R8 coming through with their winner chicken dinner. Of course, this is their first chicken in the finals, so well done to them. It was about time that we see them really bring that effort in to try and bounce back, and what a play.
Absolutely, what a play. They handled that very, very well from beginning to end with that 2-2 split coming in on both of those compounds. That regroup as the zone started to shift on towards them, and they really did control a lot of that hill is really, really effectively, even by giving up those compounds and then effectively retaking them, right? So very, very well done from them. Also gotta say, GG's to DK over here, who said, you know, those compounds are going to be a really good compound in the zone, very playable, and he was right. You know what? They got the win because they went there. So well done, DK. He is available to coach you guys. DM him after this. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about coaching, though, I got to give a big, beautiful segue that I'm pulling in here. This was also R8's first winner chicken dinner on Erangel for the event.
Wow.
Right, not only in the finals, but also for the event. So, well done, right? And what a statement they made coming in clutch there, just playing a beautiful, beautiful position. But it was challenging. The players were really put to the test. Those rotations excessively difficult. But I like the fact that the zone kind of took them to Severny, and then it's like, that's nice. Now let's move out. Right?
I hate that.
See how you can rotate, and it's the best. It's the best when that happens.
It is the best, but it's so mean. It was going to Stalber. Everyone went, okay, cool, Stalber. Then it went, nah, Severny. And then went, okay, cool, Severny. How about the hill in between? I was like, oh my god, just pick one. As R8 picked up 11 eliminations, 1,700 damage, and 550 damage taken. So they're not, even in the midst of all that, they're not taking that much damage. They're really being able to control very, very well. Now, a lot of that will be due to the fact that there were so many teams in one area. A lot of people are distracted, so that might give R8 a little bit of an opportunity to kind of come and go as they please without too much interference. However, that's still a crazy stat that there was not really any knocks being taken onto them. No one was really shooting them at them at all, and instead they got those 11 eliminations. So very good good game from them for sure. And you see that, right? 14 total revives. I mean, as we get farther and farther into the finals, these revives are getting less and less.
Yeah as is the HP. I mean, yes, we are up to 8k. Yesterday in the last game we saw it come down to 6 point something, so it makes sense because there was a lot of opportunities for these teams to really try and get themselves kind of patched up. But of course, speaking about opportunity, it goes straight over to the MVP. That is Hasiko, all the way from R8. We also did see that long-range hit coming through as well. A very impressive hit that we saw. So the teams definitely try to play at as many of these angles as they can find. But Hasiko being able to secure those 4 eliminations. I mean, even just moving into stage 6, Hasiko was sitting with 3 elims, right? At that point, that was the majority share of those elims for the side of R8. But as we saw, those elims just kept on climbing upwards. And of course, we got to commend the efforts that we saw come through from the Wildcats, right? As you mentioned, we hadn't seen all that much from them, but this game, they decided, you know what? We're just going to give it the best that we can. And I would say that was a very, very respectable game from them.
Absolutely. I mean, 8 eliminations, 14 total points, and second place. Not half bad there. I mean, again, Fenerbahce, we haven't seen too much from them, certainly in day 1 of the finals. And I was hoping to see a little bit more. They really did step up there. They had some great control over a few of those teams for 12 points total as well. And we'll see how it looks into the overall rankings. But DK, I'm not sure I really understood the gravity of the situation between first and second. That's that's what, 49-point difference coming in there. That is very much a stark contrast there, but 38 points are all tied up between the 3rd to 5th place team. So IWNRX being able to clutch that up there in that 2nd place, R8 with that win now coming into 38 points, and GOAT doing what they did best in that game, also on 38.
Yeah, I mean it's looking better, right? The points are starting to climb up. We went from a 48-point difference between first and second to 44 points, so the gap is closing.
Oh.
And I like these approaches that we have from the teams coming through. And of course, well, we still see our defenders locked in on the player focus, right? It is going to be a Galatasaray spread all across the board.
It really, really is. And yeah, it's going to be hard for a lot of these teams to probably come back and try and get this top 3 spot, particularly after that Sanhok, right? Because it's one of those things where it was such a crazy game. It takes you several games to try and catch up to that. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure coming into the next few games, we might see a little bit of a shift there, particularly if Galatasaray do play a quieter game. But the rest of these teams are not playing a quieter game. That was a crazy first game coming into day number 2, and it's only going to get hotter from here. We'll be going into Miramar next, but before that, we'll have a quick break, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody, to the PMEWL Finals Day 2, Game 2. We're getting into it. And we'll be going over into Miramar very, 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 very shortly. But DK, I think you have a question for me.
Yeah, what are words? Anyway, so where would you think the zone is going to be going for this first phase, right? We've seen the zone go a few places previously. But I'm curious to know what your thoughts are as to where it's going to take us this time around, because we are going to be starting up towards La Cobreria, and we are stopping right in between Partona and Puerto Pareso, so quite a bit of a reach.
I mean, when you asked me before we came back, I thought Impala. I think it could definitely go over there, but with that plane path, I could also see it centering right up over Cruz del Val as well. So I could see both of those things happening. But what about you?
Yeah, Cruz del Valle could be an interesting spot to go to. I'm going to be hoping maybe again something towards La Driera, maybe Chumacera, Monte Nuevo, you know, a little bit more towards this western side. I think that could be an interesting shift for these teams. So we'll find out in due course where exactly that zone is going to be going. But yeah, you know, sometimes you got to flex it if you can. Speaking about flexing, though, R8 as well as OOC are heading down to that southwestern side, but it doesn't seem like they are going to be looking to fight it out as we do center up on towards La Bendita and, of course, Minas Generales. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting start to the proceedings. You were actually kind of not bad with the Impala call.
I'm a genius. That's all I have to say on the matter. But moving swiftly on. Yeah, it's interesting that all these teams have gone over to that kind of center ground, right? No one's decided to go too far over to that eastern side, and I think they're going to want to change that decision relatively quickly. I think it's not imperative that they get there as soon as possible or anything, but teams will start to want to make that shift over. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see. I think a lot of teams are going to try and avoid that Hacienda del Patron or the San Martin area. There's way too many teams on that side, and Tiam, of course, being one of them, just right in the middle of San Martin, is going to have a hard time to come out of that area. But R8, our last game's winners, are on that south side over by the cliffs, and they should have a fairly easy entrance in.
Yeah, I think they're trying to take a bit of a scenic approach to the zone itself, as we do see Mali as well as one of the teammates starting to rotate up. So we've got Lara and Asiko still kind of holding their position here. Mali rather, and the teammate, I can't see who that is, but it is definitely, it's Gucci, right? Mali and Gucci are pretty close to Chumacera, just you know, exploring their options, looking to see how close OOC really is to them. But I don't think that they've been noticed just yet. Of course, there is a bit of a mountain in the way, so that is a decent spot, at least to start off the proceedings here for the day. But I'm going to be curious as to what's going to happen up here towards the edge of zone. AOR, S2G, we've got Red Tiam, all in pretty close proximity to each other, holding up in towards San Martin and the surrounding areas. So there could maybe be quite a bit of pressure to come through, especially playing for the edge of zone control.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, I'm going to be looking also at Zeus. Do you see this big split that they've got going on? I mean, all across Graveyard, La Bendita, and Minas Generales as well. So that's a massive split coming through there from them. Not one that is sustainable long term, to be sure, but definitely one that would give them a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. So something to look out for there as these teams start to move on in is definitely Zeus having that central position and actually spreading out so that they have more of a central position is a very interesting tactic.
I mean, it's okay for the early stage of the game. There's nobody to contest them, so they can play it however they feel to. So I think it does set them up quite beautifully should the zone decide to move anywhere, really, because they can either go south, they can go north, they can go east, they can go west. They've got players, as you said, right, with a finger in each of those spies. So it opens up the opportunities for them. But I'm curious as to who's going to try and commit to that far eastern side of zone. Maybe going towards Truck Stop, maybe all the way up in towards Impala or even Puerto, because there's still quite an opportunity to be had up in Puerto. And I think TPS might be the team to try and push for Puerto itself.
Yes, they've kind of beat out R8 there, right? They were in Partona and they've moved across the bridge quick like a bunny going over to Puerto Paraíso. And they might actually stay there, but they probably are going to try and go more for a more Impala or something similar that's more mid-zone. I can't really see that much of an edge play working out for them, especially with those cliffs all up on that coastline there. Um, Over to the north side, you got Goat and you've got Fenerbahce. I think they will really be able to go in very, very easily into that northeast side of zone as well. And it's interesting how much area of this new zone we actually still have left open.
Yeah, I mean, there's still quite a bit of options here for teams to move into. With the blue zone moving up, though, we do see the players from Not Noobs again out in the blue, same as what we had on Erangel for them. This time they're all the way over in Ruins, so that far northwestern side of zone. So they're going to have quite a bit of a journey to get themselves secured in towards that zone. So hopefully they will continue to keep pushing on forward, as we do see them only having to pick up Pinky still. So things are looking up and up for them. Meanwhile, Mel's Nova going to be looking to push, I think, closer towards Impala, just scouting out the area, making sure that there's nobody obstructing their rotation. So this could be a good setup. I'm going to be hoping either like a very centralized kind of Impala position, or opting for those hills that we have over towards that eastern side, maybe even towards the north. But yeah, they're going to be in a race up against the side of TPES, though, I think, contesting for Impala.
Yes, indeed. And I think a lot of teams are going to try and have that same sort of strategy coming through here. It's a good spot to have. And as the zone starts to move on in, we will know very shortly how that is going to shape up into phase 2. But big thing coming through here, OOC and Galatasaray moving through each other here. Galatasaray just storming past OC's position. They could look to have a little bit of a gatekeep / altercation going on down there, but we'll see how that works out. As you said, Mel's and TPES do get a little bit closer to each other, but that is going to be the elimination feed popping off there. As Galatasaray, one of their players is very, very low.
Yeah, that's not ideal, right? You want to try and keep those health bars up. I'm not quite sure what. Well, there we go. That health bar is so low that the player went all the way into the lobby. Yeah, you got to watch out for that one. The Wildcats also getting poked and prodded at, as it is Red Tiam doing all the poking to them. As we got Lara, or rather, one of their teammates, Hannah, over there in the distance, just kind of keeping that distraction going. Well, Cat Veins and the rest of the crew now get ready to jump, as they've already gotten that knock. They want to try and follow through, get those elims, and then kind of get that momentum going, as Cat Veins finds the nade on towards elim, and this could be that opening that they've been looking for.
Finally, this is what we were wanting to see from Tiam yesterday. Here we go, a 1-3 split, trying to sneak up on that knock, trying to sneak up on this team. Another great nade to follow through there. Cat Veins does not win that 1v1 and might just make the rest of them fall. We'll have to see. Sometimes it does happen, but Kawhi ready to step up where Cat Veins had to fall down there. Nice Molotov as we move over to OOC and Galatasaray, though. And Galatasaray seem to have found themselves in a tricky situation, as that's 2 more down for them. And Maddie, she's left alone on her own, away from the rest of her teammates. She can do nothing here, and somehow they're gonna have to be a solo this early on.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of an interesting play now, as you just mentioned, right? Seema having to try and figure out where is going to be that next best position to move towards as a solo, as I think that does quite put a dent into the approach that they might have opted for coming into this game. But now, of course, we still have quite a few other teams going at it, right? The Wildcats slowly climbing their way back up onto their feet. Cat Veins has also been brought on back, so the fight can continue. As you can see, Melcy setting a quick one through Tiger. I believe will get picked up on that one. So that is Red Tiam now down to a 3-piece, still going up against the full force of the Istanbul Wildcats. Next, Roya. They got a hand on the high ground. Kawhi slowly just peeling off over to the side. Cat Veins actually pushing all the way down low. So an interesting kind of repositioning that we have here on the side of Red Tiam.
I still like how they're playing this, though. I think Istanbul Wildcats have definitely responded very, very well to this, and I think TM will have to move away from this altercation now. Their advantage is gone with that element of surprise being no longer there, but still, I like what we're seeing from TM. Is it really equating into points? Not really. But it is looking very much better in terms of their attitude, in terms of how they're playing this. So they're going to live to fight another day. Hopefully, if they can just get out of dodge, there you go. And now we're starting to see in the elimination feed something else. It's Zeus, it's TPES, it's OOC, and Lighter as well. But Zeus going to be making that trade very, very quickly on here.
Yeah, Zeus chose aggression coming into this game. They just full sended it up on towards TPES. And look at Cry making that play look effortless. Just finding that beautiful S12K connection to the body. And down they go. That is going to be Zeus sitting pretty with 3 elims next to their name. And they've got quite a bit of peace and tranquility here, right? They've cleared it out. Nobody looking to contest them, at least for the time being. So it gives them that opportunity to quickly just reset and then come through with the next bit of their strategy here.
Indeed, and what a compound to actually push into, right? This is a great spot for them. It's very dominant over the surrounding terrain. It's fairly central to zone. They've decided to move out of Minas Generalis entirely, and I don't hate that play, that decision at all, really. I think for a team in their position, they want to be fairly safe and kind of just make sure they have a small area that they can fully control rather than a large one they're only half controlling. But Lighter do go out there. This is a team that were very strong into that the second phases, the first and second phases of the tournament. Now we're starting to see not so much from them, but hopefully in the next game we will see a little bit more as the zone will be coming in just a second here. There we go. It's going to start now. 2 minutes until stage 3 closes on up.
Yep, it's going to close on up and apply quite a bit of pressure in doing so. Goat now not necessarily finding themselves in any position of pressure for the time being. As we can see, Leora and the rest of the crew now just pushing further and further afield. But they got to watch out because we do have Zeus, the aggressive Zeus, on towards that western side. And this is where you can really see that compound for Zeus now put to good use. As you said, they got quite a bit of an advantage and a bit of dominance on the area here. So they can see anybody rotating up towards them from miles and miles away. We also did see OOC over on towards that western side as they ended the run there for Lighter, coming through with a very quick and efficient play utilizing that vehicle. But I think the big kicker now is going to be, where are we moving towards next? Because the blue is going to be making its way in very steadily. And how will these teams then look to adapt? We can see Seema also going for a very evasive play, right? Opting to just kind of stay out of harm's way for the time being, pulling all the way through Puerto and maybe opting up in towards Impala.
I really like as well, though, what we're seeing out of GOAT, particularly with those big splits. You're seeing a lot of big splits in the early stages. I think that's something we're going to see from a lot of teams on Miramar specifically, is big splits in the early stages just to get that information, maybe get the odd shot out, the odd knock, something like that if you can. And then as the zone becomes smaller, you really group up and start using that information. And it's kind of what you're seeing from GOAT here. I mean, look at this giant split. Lita 6 is going to be scouting far away from her teammates, and Not Noob's not really going to do much about it just there, but probably she did see them and she will be going out of there very quickly. But I did just notice OOC, 7 eliminations is quite a lot there. I think they've gotten rid of at least 2 teams, and they are just now getting inside zone, but they have to go a little bit further. The zone has centered up over La Bandita, over to those cliff sides of Los Leones, to the east, or west rather, of Impala as well. We are here for a field finish, DK.
Yeah, I think La Bandita, especially with the crater, is going to be quite exciting, seeing that we've got Not Noobs holding nice and steady in that area. And of course, still a little bit of a region of Los Leones is going to be in play, especially the hills down to that northern side of Los Leones. So Ida are going to be looking to occupy that. But I think for Mel's Nova, looking over on towards the southwestern side, southeast rather, we've got quite a bit of an angle here, right? We've got R8 yet to move in. We got Sima there from Galatasaray yet to move up. Zeus as well as Fenerbahce. So quite a bit of congestion now starting to form. And it's going to be up to Mels to decide how they're going to look to play through this. We can see the rotations now coming in, pushing towards the compounds. And I like this that Mels Nova are really quick on the scouting, right? Identifying those potential angles to be quite wary of. But in the meanwhile, it's going to be R8 and Fenerbahce going toe-to-toe.
It is indeed R8 looking to come back strong with this one, but with 3 down already, Fenerbahce looking like the strong ones in this. And R8 Lara, she can do nothing else except run away and get out of there, survive a little longer. There's no placement points for her here if she goes out now. And that's crazy. Fenerbahce just sweeping through them there, and you'd expect a little bit more of a stance from them, but Fenerbahce, they played a good game in that first Erangel, and now they come through with that momentum. R8 unable to do much about it. Lara now has to move into zone her own way, but I think she's going to just reevaluate what her loadout is now that she's a solo. Might be looking for perhaps a slight change of weapon and looking for a safer spot to play from. Bonfire, didn't see anything of them in the last game. They were too busy being out in the zone, but they are here now. We see them further in zone this time around, and looking over towards Not Noobs. They're age-old enemies, DK.
Oh, yes. A little bit of poking could happen right here. But yesterday we were talking about 4 teams not having winner chicken dinners on this map. Of course, that changed. We're down to 3. So it's AOR Silently, OOC, and S2G. Those are the only 3 teams that have not yet found a winner chicken dinner on Miramar. So I'm curious as to how they're going to look to kind of play through this. Looking at OOC, they've decided that they're gonna try, right? What they're gonna try, we don't know. We'll find out soon, but they've definitely put in quite a bit of effort. As you've mentioned, those 7 eliminations, that's gonna look quite nice there for them. But it's all gonna depend on how they play these next few moves, because they find themselves relatively close to the Wildcats as well as S2G. So there is gonna be a bit of that pressure coming through here, and the teams are slightly divided. We got a few up to the north, a few down to the south, and I think this could be quite an interesting dynamic, especially with the next zone shift coming through.
I'm looking at 2 teams in particular, Ida, who can look between both of these sections there, and also Tiam, who are just about to go up against that last player from R8, and if she's not careful, it could be, well, there we go, Kuwai taking out Lara there. That is going to be R8 going out a little bit earlier than they might have liked, but that does mean that Tiam get their first point on the board. So we will see how that works out for them as they move past Fenerbahce, as the zone has continued to center on up 500 meters from zone now, Barbie is. And they'll have to move fairly quickly. But with this kind of zone, DK, it's very, very difficult to know how you're even supposed to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're a team like Ida, you're going to be feeling absolutely stoked with your position, because they don't have to move an inch. They've got those hills to the north of Los Leones, still holding onto that high ground. Oh, speaking about high ground, Goat, Mels Nova, having a bit of a disagreement as to who will be controlling this compound as they come forward here. Mels seem to be winning the argument as they are still with 3 players in here. Oh, Daddy now also come flying on in, just looking to, kind of settle the whole situation. But Ghosts, they've not lost a single player. They're still holding steady. Yes, they've got a few knocks over onto their end. So this is going to complicate a few things. But with the utilities now getting dispersed and Oh Daddy getting aggressive, this could be them now just looking to clutch it up as Mels Nova pick up 2 more eliminations. And that is the full set, almost effortless play going through from Oh Daddy as the play is in, and that's it. Mels Nova get the squad wipe and 6 eliminations in total.
We've been wanting to see this from them. This is a really, really good performance, a great show of momentum coming into the final stages of the game, and they are going to need this full res. They are going to need those 6 eliminations behind them to actually get the job done, because this zone is tough. They've got Ida up ahead. They've got Zeus waiting in the wings. They need to make sure they have everything they can, momentum and players, to actually win this out if they so choose. We'll see how they get on, but that was certainly a very good play, well strategized between that high ground and those buildings as well. And now the attention turns to what's going on inside of zone. As you see, the Wildcats and OOC on the other side of zone actually making some headway here, having their own sort of disagreement. And Mel's just getting naded slightly there. And this is another compound that is very difficult to actually attack.
It is quite challenging to attack. You're 100% right in saying that, but they're also going to be very careful as to not make too much noise, right? I know that's difficult to not make too much noise because, you know, you got weapons and grenades and things, but S2G, we have them just towards the north, so we can see up on that minimap. So that could also potentially pose a bit of a threat here. But fortunately, the zone has shifted down south, and IDA, they are just smiling all the way through. Fenerbahce coming through with a very quick push coming in on that southern side. But Wildcats, OOC, they need to make a very decisive call here. Are they going to try and kind of ride out this fight, or are they going to dip out and play for that zone positioning?
I think they have no choice but to play it out and try their best to get this done as quickly as possible, come what may. I am so confused how the zone every single time is going to one team only. Most of these teams are not in zone right now. With that zone shift, Ida was the only one inside that new zone. And so I think in some ways the Wildcats and OC have a decent time to actually do this. They don't have to rush too much because everybody else is going to be so occupied with doing their own thing. They're not going to notice, but the Wildcats aren't going to be distracted at all. That's going to be OOC going down very quickly, very efficiently there. And the Wildcats move up to 5 eliminations. And even though they're outside of the points, the placement points, OOC was 7, not half bad.
Yeah, definitely not half bad. But it does require them to do quite a bit more work in the remaining matches here for today. It is going to be Aurelia, though, for the side of Fenerbahce. Quickly trying to get the team back on their feet as we do say goodbye to Licious. So Mel's Nova, I like that bit of pressure they're going to be looking to apply here. But Ida also going to be keeping it nice, hot, and toasty. A quick nade off the side of the head. Sure, why not? We do say goodbye to Galatasaray. We go out with, a bit of a donut, but it's fine, right? Because they've got so many points. They're not even going to feel it in this game. So, you know, it's a game. It's all right. They can afford to have a little bit of a game like this. But I like these quick repositions coming through now from the side of Ida. But Mel's Nova also going to look to push up. So we're going to maybe look at a bit of a triangle of despair here as the teams are going to look to really get down to business.
Yeah, I really like this from Mel's Nova. They've taken a strong position on these cliff sides to try and gatekeep, but it is also very open towards that north side, and you see O'Daddy does feel the effects of that. They will get back up, but that allows Ida to move on through and kind of turn their attention back onto the task at hand as the zone continues to move away from every single team. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you were talking about the zone, and look at that. Players getting herded all over the place. Fenerbahce go out. We did see Retiam, Hannah also getting absolutely obliterated by that blue zone. But up by AOR, it's up to Matesha and Kitty. So let's see whether or not Kitty can meow down a few more players up ahead. There is going to be quite a bit of pressure now for them to try and keep that momentum going, keep that flow going. S2G also going to be trying to see if they can maybe get their go at that winner chicken dinner. They're going to have to find a way get that pacing up. Aura, that is down, might pose a few threats. It's going to be Dynasty running forward as well in such a treacherous area to try and maneuver through. As you can see, Ida being an absolute nuisance all the way from that southern side.
Yeah, they've maintained their position. Oh, nice drop right there, but I don't think she wants it. But they've maintained their position up onto the north side. They've really been able to hold off teams. It's a really good position for them. They do have to move through here, and Mel's Nova are set up quite well for this. But still, Ida still have that advantage. They still have that outlook over the rest of the teams. And worst case scenario, Ida could use that position to get as many eliminations as they can, or at least, you know, spoil as many games as they can before they go out. So it's still a very dominant position from them. And as AOR do go out there, we're now left with just 6 teams.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough play. As we know, Ida, they also have that drop right there that O'Daddy decided not to go for. Curious to see whether or not they are going to be utilizing any of the weapons or gear that could be found in that box. But a quick cheeky nade comes out. Athena getting blown to smithereens. That was a trap. Oh, daddy, set that one up. What a beautiful play.
Oh.
Now comes a follow-up nade. Let's see whether or not Mel's Nova can get 9. Oh, they're getting scary close as they do exactly that. And this is Daddy just absolutely demolishing this side of them. But it's going to be the Wildcats looking to get the slice of the action as well. As a quick response comes through here from Melcy onto O'Daddy.
Again, the Wildcats move in without much having been really noticed by any of us throughout the game, come in with a bunch of eliminations, a strong position, immediately taking over where Ida left off, and now the rest of the teams kind of have to bow down to them as that's a massive nade coming in from Melzy there. That's a double whammy with the boom boom circle. And we're going to ignore that as we look over to S2G. Just a solo left alone here. Mel's Nova do go out 11 eliminations, though, is massive. But honestly, if IWNRX don't win this, I mean, that'd be kind of crazy.
I mean, first we got to talk about Melcy. 8 elims already, right? So it seems like the Wildcats, they had that stealth mode engaged for a big majority of this match. And I mean, realistically, they've only got a few players standing between them and that potential winner chicken dinner. Bonfire, though, they are looking pretty good. So it's not going to be an easy task for the Wildcats now to try and clutch it up. But they do have that slight bit of an advantage with the terrain as we do say goodbye to S2G, finishing off in that 3rd place. And now it's down to the final few contenders left to decide who's going to be taking that winner chicken dinner. Very cheeky spray down going through here from Alam, but the blue zone is going to be just as cheeky. Oh, Layla goes down to 1 player now standing between the Wildcats and that winner chicken dinner. And there we have it. It is going to be the Istanbul Wildcats next. Roya getting their first victory on the side of Miramar and doing so in quite a bit of fashion. Finishing strong with those eliminations. Just going absolutely crazy and a back-to-back top 2 finish for them.
That's fantastic. What a game for the Wildcats. Huge points being put up there for both them and Bonfire and a lot of those teams. That was a massive elimination game for multiple teams there. We're really going to have to see how that shifted into the leaderboard because I think there are going to be quite a few changes. I mean, apart from that #1 spot, of course, everybody else is very close to where they want to be, right? There's a lot of ties. There's a lot of 2-3 point differences between the placements. So that game for sure is going to shift some things.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how this match reflects with regards to those overall standings. But what a play, though. I mean, Wildcats, they got 14 points in the previous match, and they were like, yeah, we can get that in eliminations. Why not, right? Might as well just go for it. Have some fun while we're at it. But again, the zone proving to be quite challenging for these teams. They've not been dealt an easy hand, but the Wildcats rising to the occasion, coming through with 17 eliminations. Absolutely insane performance. But that is what we want to see, and that is what we kind of expected to see coming into today's action.
We absolutely did. We said we wanted them to step up, and step up they did. 3,100 damage dealt is an insane stat, and 17 elims is going to go a very long way to putting them up that leaderboard. But they weren't that far down in the beginning, so where does this put them? That's what I want to know. We'll see that very shortly, though. But yeah, a very good response coming in from IWNRX, and this stealth plan seems to be working out well for them. That's 2 for 2 now, where they've had decent eliminations and a really decent placement as well.
Yeah, very true indeed. And here we go, looking at the stats. It is going to be Mel's O'Daddy locking in the hit there. 343-meter play. A little bit more of an opportunity for teams to get healed up moving through this game, as you can look at the utilities, right? Still a very hefty usage of that. And of course, no surprise, we did see quite a bit of a bombardment taking place all across these last few phases. So the team's really rising to the occasion, and no surprise to see Melcy locking that one in, coming through with the 9 eliminations and a plethora of damage.
Well, ding, 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 bell of 1,000 damage. There we go. But that's nearly 1,500 damage. I mean, that's got to be one of the bigger ones we've seen in this tournament so far. And what a fantastic show for her. 4 assists as well, really tallying up to nearly 13 eliminations just on her end alone. So definitely doing some massive work there. And you can see that in the points as well. 27 versus 15 for Mels is quite the gap.
Yeah, it is. It is quite a bit of a gap, but I think at least looking at Mel's, they are going to be quite happy with 15 points, regardless of where it is and what the gap is. Because coming into this match, they had 7 points. Right now, securing themselves 15 does award them quite a bit of a move. And speaking about moves, Zeus also got some points on board. Right, so the teams are starting to make some waves, starting to make some moves here. OOC, I like the approach that they brought through in this game. Unfortunately, things didn't go all too well with regards to those placement points, but eliminations, though, still securing 7, a very, very good play from them.
Absolutely. And here we go. The overall rankings. IWNRX move into second place, and the gap continues to close here. It's really, really good from them. S2G as well. OOC as well. Both of those teams moving up into that top 5 position. And if we look over to that left side, or rather the right side as well, I mean, there's not much movement up or down between the teams, but that gap, those points are getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, that is definitely something that we see happening right there. What we also did notice is that GOAT moved down, right? We did have them in 3rd place. They've now moved all the way in towards that 6th position. But OOC, they've jumped up from 9th up into that 5th position. So the games are starting to work, right? The teams are starting to continue with their pacing, increasing a steady amount of points as we step through these matches.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're seeing the team still might have a little bit more of a journey ahead of them to get into that player focus, though Galatasaray is still very dominant on both the overall rankings and the player focus, but that may all change, right? We've had 0 points coming in from Galatasaray in that last game. What will happen on the Sanhok is another question entirely, and one we will answer in just a few minutes while we take the short break. everybody. I hope you're as ready as we here on the desk are for this Sanhok. I'm very excited for the Sanhok to come through because we saw what an epic game that was from Galatasaray in day one, but I'm waiting for some of these other teams to step it up in the jungle.
Oh, yes, indeed. It is going to be step up time to see who's going to be able to clutch it out. And first things first, though, we are going to be taking a look at the flight path, which is not that important when it comes to this map. It is going to be quite reliant on what the zone, though, is going to bring on through and how these teams are going to look to get themselves positioned and situated and whatnot and everything that they need to do. But yeah, so we do have a nice decent spread of our squads now starting to disperse as they are heading further down towards the southern side. As we've got the Wildcats doing their thing up in towards Mong Nai. We've got TPS going all the way in towards Camp Bravo. S2G and Goat, they're going to be opting for that northwestern island with Zeus, of course, now looking to kind of get a bit of a spread there. 3 players on the island. And we've got Macy opting up into the trifecta region themselves. So I think a decent serving of positioning here for our players. You can see TPS trying a few things there. Maybe getting a little bit too close onto the side of Fenerbahce, but it's not going to be of any major concern, though. It is going to be AOR and Ida getting ready for the action as Yildiz gets dropped right on down. Mutation are going to try and hold it nice and steady as Ida continue to try and strife their way on through, trying to find the angles. Matesha, somewhat isolated, still has the reinforcements now starting to roll on up as Ida has been brought to their knees. It is going to be one player trying to stand between them, and that next continuation is Fireshine is the player left to hold the torch here for the team. So a very aggressive start coming through, as you saw there from ARR, looking to make a few statements. And speaking about statements, Mel's Nova also feeling the heat, feeling the pressure, as Lida also come in, packing it quite hotly up into the little shack. And yes, hotly will make that a word for today, as it's just aggression all across the board.
It really is. Oh my goodness me. These teams are not messing about. And, you know, it's teams, both of these teams that needed some points, right? Lighter haven't had the best or the easiest of games in the first 2. And now they're using the Sanhok as they should, as that springboard into the next couple. It looks like, at least with how it's going down now. Mels, we're really, really hoping to, you know, follow up that last game with another great game on Sanhok. But as a duo, that's going to be very difficult to do. And the same for Ida as well, a solo, even worse off 2 minutes into the game than Mel's were. So we're going to see how they navigate this now, but Ida going out so quickly, or almost out so quickly, is quite the shock.
Well, it's the aggressive map, right? It's the map that lends itself to teams doing some things that we won't necessarily see them doing on the other 2 maps. So, yeah, I mean, talk about capitalizing on the opportunity, right? That is exactly what we saw just then and there. But now things have quieted down a little bit, temporarily. We do see Zeus holding onto the bootcamp hills. We do see OOC full sending it in that direction. So we are going to be in for another stretch of a bit of carnage. It's going to be just on the horizon. Speaking about horizons, though, Fenerbahce also trying to get just over the horizon here, as they do have AOR ahead of them. And here is that fight that I was talking about. Zeus now having to defend as OOC and Galatasaray are going to be trying to just pressure them into submission.
Zeus and Galatasaray seem to find each other a lot, both on Erangel and on Sanhok here, but it's OOC that finds them first, I think, and Galatasaray could be a dangerous third party coming through here. OOC should be aware of that. They need to not be tunnel visioned in this instance. They need to make sure that they have all the information they need, as Galatasaray over in the kill feed or the elimination feed might just go and grab one of the Zeus players. And Fenerbahce, they're looking for their own eliminations, for their own blood to take for themselves as they go up against AOR, but this is a tricky position here, DK, right up against OOC behind this rock.
Oh, and of course Kylie gonna get spotted out there. So Zeus gonna find a way to push forward, and I think the best play for both OOC and Zeus here would be to focus onto Fenerbahce, because we saw what they did last time when they played on Sanhok. So yeah, you don't want to repeat of that necessarily. So Zeus, they still have the solo left, so Cry can still maybe find a bit of an opportunity, a bit of a play here. Maybe move a bit further down towards that southeastern side. Maybe head slightly more east towards Quarry, find a good spot to hide. Because looking at the aggression that we see there from OOC and Galatasaray, it's going to be really difficult to survive this current positioning. But it seems like Galatasaray, at least for the time being, are going to be focusing their efforts over on towards OOC. And, well, Paradise could also be receiving quite a bit of attention.
It could indeed, and I would love to see that. We haven't seen Paradise in serious play for so very long, and we might not see either one of those teams in play for that Paradise circle, though, because Galatasaray and OOC have decided to take full control of this fight themselves. Zeus are no longer in the picture seriously here, down to that solo in the compound. So OOC have 3 eliminations on the board for now. They've lost 1, so it's a decent trade of points for people. But Galatasaray just a little bit too far to do any real damage there, so it's a bit of a standoff over onto that hillside. And the Wildcats over by Paradise, this is what you were talking about, right? The Wildcats could do some insane work here. They're coming off of 2 very, very good games for them, and they're looking to make this one a 3rd. And as you said, that zone could be quite potentially onto that area, onto those teams. They certainly seem to they're centering up over there, so we'll see how that goes. As now GOAT have to try and get into this next phase.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to work that hard because they've just made it in, right? So a very effortless rotation on the side of GOAT. The big question is, are they going to decide to get off of the northwestern island and pull over on towards the mainland, or are they going to opt maybe for a bit of a trifecta positioning, right? Only time will tell. It does seem like they might be opting for trifecta or somewhere close to that. But we do have S2G just over on towards the eastern side, so they can't get too relaxed here. They're still going to keep their wits about them. Speaking about the wits, it's going to be the Wildcats and Bonfire. Ooh, witsing it out. The Wildcats wrapping that fight up, and they still managed to hold on to their full squad, even though they had those 2 knocks come in so quickly, just alleviating quite a bit of the pressure. Fenerbahce also, they've moved a little bit further down south. We got vehicles driving over water. Nobody's aquaplaning. That is amazing. And good escape here now for GOAT to get themselves back into a strong position towards zone.
And this is the other thing, is that I don't think S2G... No, they didn't expect this at all. They were not expecting anybody to be on that island after so long. They cleared that a long time ago, right? No one thought that there'd be vehicles moving across the water in that little land bridge there, but GOAT found it, and that's going to be 2 down for GOAT, but it's the same amount for STG as well, and STG are in a far more precarious position here. So definitely a really good play by GOAT to catch STG unawares, and now it's just down to STG to figure out how they're going to overcome this.
Well, we'll see pretty soon exactly what the approach is going to be for this one. But here we have it. Nice bit of a reach. Oh, Dynasty getting picked up as Polya reaches in with the M4. I like this aggression coming through from GOAT, really upping the ante. And unfortunate for S2G, I don't think that they might live much longer, as you can see. GOAT just ramping it up in a good spread here. I like this repositioning that we see from GOAT, trying to take as many of these angles as they can find. And even though they had the knocks, that is not going to stop GOAT, right? They've been able to pick their players back up and continue to apply the pressure. Ooh, as you can see, Polya yet again getting found. Oh, but here comes the sprays now. Lucy and Sarah definitely just riding on the edge there.
Yes, indeed, and that's going to be Saren going on down to that Molotov. A great Molotov to not only knock players, but to push them out as well. Nicely cooked nade from Lidas. He's gonna grab that final elimination. That's going to be for a full squad wipe and a full reset for them as well. So a brilliant, brilliant show of map knowledge coming through there from GOAT. They have a very nice position inside of zone now, up to the north side. The zone has shifted towards them, so they're actually kind of mid-central in this position of zone, and this is going to work out very, very well for them now.
Yeah, it is definitely going to work out quite well for them. And another thing that I'm quite happy to see is that TPS, they've found some points, right? They got those 3 points on board as we jump straight towards them. And I mean, it's about time, right?
Yeah.
Because the last time we saw them getting points was in Game 4 yesterday when they got that glorious winner chicken dinner with the 10 eliminations. After that, all they got was 1 placement point. But now they seem to be looking to bounce back, right? 3 eliminations up. We're nowhere near placement points, but they could still be quite a bit of a change to come through from this cupquake. Going to try and get themselves patched up, but they do have to worry about R8's positioning up on that slight bit of a ridge. You can see Asiko and everybody now getting to full sended as they look to apply themselves onto the action here.
Yes, indeed, and we leave right before the action starts. Here we go. We're back looking towards Samina here as she's trying to do something, maybe get some of that utility going so she can throw her own nades, because RA are not anywhere near done with their utilities here. Cupquake does go down to that nade, a really nice spot. Suzu is almost down as well, just trying to heal up a little bit here. Nice little play, backstab in there, but it's not going to work. Suzu, the last player standing now, gets one, but cannot get the rest. And Gucci makes sure that TPES gets only the 4 eliminations for this game.
That was an interesting turn of events that we had coming through from both of our squads here. I mean, they actually, both of them played quite well on Sanhok in general. We've seen, right? Both teams had the winner chicken dinner. Both teams had 40 total points. So a good, kind of decider there as to who's going to be the one to survive for the rest of the map. R8, of course, are going to be feeling quite happy about that situation, securing themselves a few additional points and also just trying to strengthen their overall angles or kind of slotting that they have with regards to those standings. Not that they are really in much need of a lot of stress, right? They've already had that winner chicken dinner today, but they are going to try and make that play to get themselves higher up. So I think for TPS, 4 points, it's not necessarily something to write home about, but 4 points are 4 points, right? Could have been none.
It absolutely could have been none, and I think that's the fear in a lot of these other teams, right? We see 4 teams with no points at the moment, and it could be all that they are able to get because that zone has shifted towards ruins. There was not a single team on that side of the map. Everybody had gone over to that mainland on the right-hand side, and now everybody has to go back, and in 20 seconds as well. As you see that damage is really being dealt by this stage 3 zone. So Ida and crew really have to work to get inside this zone, and they're going to be pulling up right behind Mel's. So it's only these 3 players that are in a good position in zone.
Yeah, it's an interesting shift that we saw for that zone. So hopefully Ida can make it in, right, to have fire shine all the way through to the very end of this game, or at least into the next few stages. Fortunately, stage 3 is not going to be all too devastating, but I'm actually quite happy to see that the heal strat is not as viable anymore, right? That blue zone has become quite devastating, quite brutal. But you were talking about Malznoa being one of the only other players that have a good angle here, and I think it's a glorious setup, especially close towards this bridge. Quite a bit of an advantage point that they could look to leverage here as the teams now start to converge over towards that eastern side, just all trying to cram into a little bit of something. But there's not much to really utilize. We got those the beautiful bootcamp mountains or the hill towards that southern side, and everybody has now decided to go for that.
Oh, you know what happens, DK, when too many teams try and go for one position?
Pancakes. They make pancakes.
They make pancakes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they make
Either
pancakes.
that or waffles.
They make eggs. They make eggs and bacon and sausage and all the good things, and then they go out to the lobby so they can eat that breakfast. And they eat it. They go out to that lobby quite quickly, I think, and we're going to start seeing that here as now Fenerbahce down to a solo. A really good game from them so far. 5 eliminations on board, but still only 12th place if they go out right now. So that solo's got to be very, very careful. Lighter seem to be taking a more passive approach here, just really making use of a good compound and waiting for that zone, waiting for those teams to come to them. So both plays are good ones. Oh, hang on. Caffeine's up against the Wildcats there. This could be a really interesting fight about to break out.
It could be. This could you know, it's one of those things that Retiam are in a position to try and benefit off of. As you see that knock now coming through onto Shanks, but yep, it's going to be Galatasaray all the way from within boot camp, all the way up in the north, poking and prodding up into the fights. Now Hannah with a nice position here. The Wildcats in a bit of danger. Not necessarily from Red Tiam, but from that blue zone. As you can see, Melcy, who performed exceptionally well in the previous match, now finding herself in quite a bit of a predicament in between a rock and a blue place, as it is quite a bit of a challenging one to get out of here. And the Wildcats, they can still make it out, right? It is stage 4, but as soon as that counter up in the top right hits 0, the damage goes up by quite a bit.
Yep, it does. It's interesting that Tiam are holding on to this so much. There is that one player out in the zone, and I think that she might have gone down to that blue damage. And it's interesting that they make this play at the expense of their player's health like that, but it certainly seems to be working out for them so far. 2 points on the board. They will lose that one player, it looks like, but they have got that other one rezzed up. So we'll see how that works out for them. Galatasaray, of course, being a real pain. There's no other way to put it, but Hana shuts them down a little bit here as they move on forward. But Licious could be a thorn in Tiam's side. We'll see. Has she made noise? No, she hasn't. Kawhi has no idea. Now, the rest of the team move forward. This has got to be something. They still have no idea. Oh, DK, I don't like this, but now they have some sort of clue. Down she goes very quickly, not without getting that knock. So again, that is going to slow them down. They are inside of zone, but this allows OOC to pay attention to where they are. It allows Galatasaray to get that knock and also look at them. So Fenerbahce might not have gotten the eliminations or the points that she wanted, but she has jeopardized Red Tiam's game here.
To some extent, yes, but I don't think all too drastically. As you can see, R8 also going to be applying quite a bit of pressure onto the side there of Galatasaray. But OOC, they're on the opposite end of the ridge. So it is going to take special goggles to kind of see them over on this side, which they don't have. So I think they're fine, right? Galatasaray also going to try and kind of push through the slight uphill battle they find themselves in. I think R8 also have quite a bit of a setup there over towards the northern edge of zone, right? Quite a mountainous position that they find themselves in. But speaking about mountains, they're going to have to start climbing as the blue zone just ramps up in damage. Galatasaray going to try and clutch it up. They do find Hannah. They don't get the confirmation. The follow-through is there. Scully gets dropped on down, but Hilal tried to hold on, but was not going to make it out just yet as the pressure is there. And Galatasaray walk away with only 2 points.
Only 2 points, but Tiam walk out of this fight with 6. 6 points on the board, topping the leaderboard in terms of those eliminations taken out so far. A really, really good game, and time and time again, we do say, you know, Sanhok is for those players that haven't built that momentum up yet in the first 2 games, that want to turn the tide for the last 2 games, and this seems to be the team that wants it the most. This is Red Tiam moving forward, gaining that momentum, using what they can to now push on through, but for Kawhi, this vehicle's being very obstinate, very sad indeed to see it as Zeus cry. Just puts her out in the blue zone just a little bit there. I think that might be a loss here. And Tiam just down to that duo. There is no way Kawhi gets out of this one.
Well, unless the team can somehow miraculously find a way to just kind of quiet cry down. Otherwise, Kawhi is going to cry about this position out in the blue. Oh, well,
there we go.
Does something herself. Right, ends the play. They just go like, okay, cool. That mosquito has now been taken care of. Let's move on to the next. As a quick swat came in there, but I don't see Kawhi making out of that one. It's a little bit late for that HP bar. Maybe still somehow. Yeah, it's not going to happen. No. 4 eliminations, though, is going to look pretty decent there for Kawhi to walk away with here. And I think this is that play that we were waiting to see from Red Tiam, right? That opening section for them to kind of start to bounce back. And they still have Tiger and Hannah left, who I think could still also do quite a bit of work here. We've seen them kind of prove themselves in those previous matches as well in the prior weeks. But let's see how this one plays out for them. Tough position, though, here for Tiger.
Extremely tough. I mean, thankfully, on that left side towards Goat, the trees are kind of blocking her from their view, right? So she can kind of focus over on R8 as Lighter do eventually go out, but I worry for the team behind him. OOC lurking in the back seats there. Gonna be moving on forward. She does notice this, but that just puts her position in that much more of a predicament, and Hana does go down here.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much that we can say. There's nothing positive really about the spot that Red Siam find themselves in.
Right? There you go.
It was just I didn't really see any feasible way of them surviving that. Right, with Goat pushing up from the south, OOC pushing up from the north, R8 being over on towards the opposite end. I mean, talk about a tough spot, right? That is a very uncomfortable sandwich to be in right then and there. But now it's going to be Goat looking to see if they can maybe find a little bit of something there. Leora, though, getting lit up. It's up to the Yagi to now keep that play going as Rose gets absolutely lasered on down 7H. Going to be holding nice and steady. They could still maybe be a bit of an opportunity here for Yagi to get that res, but it is going to be Rose to be taken on down. And R8, they just waiting for the play, though, as 7H gets the finish. That is Goat out of there with 8 eliminations to their name. And now it's a solo standing between R8 and a potential victory.
Not just a potential victory, a second win of the night for them. That is what's on the table here. And OOC 7HHQ, she's the only player standing in their way. Interestingly, R8 are separating themselves so that she could kind of get this kind of one by one. Molly gonna have to be very careful with how she sprays this. Those two on the outside, but that's gonna be enough cover there, and that should be one down, but no, she cannot get those sprays off in time, and R8 Sapphire going to be our winners on Sanhok. A brilliant match coming in from them.
Yeah, I mean, that was quite the performance, and that is exactly what this map allows, right? For teams to just come in and, guns ablazed, look to see if they can find yet another winner chicken dinner. So, all right, as you said, getting their second victory for the day, but I think also a good increase with regards to the overall points. I mean, they've been just continuously trying to find as many of these points as they could muster. And coming into the game, they were sat on 38 points, which is not bad, all the way in 7th position. But based on the performance that we just saw, they might have just leaped up quite a bit.
Absolutely. It's going to be a real game changer for not only them, but for many of these teams, right? We saw a lot of great plays coming in, Lighter being one of them, right? They came into like top 6, top 5, and the first 2 games we hadn't seen that much from them. So a really, really good show and a really good, game changer, a builder of momentum into the next 2 games. So I will want to see how that leaderboard shakes out.
Well, you talk about shaking, let's shake it up as we move in here. R8 with the 8 elims and 1100 damage. There we go. Yes, I did say 11, but I said that on purpose. But here we have it.
He always does.
Some great performances coming through. And again, not a crazy amount of damage being taken here by R8. We saw a very similar thing, right? Match 1 was 500 and 500 and a little bit damage that they received. So yeah, a good consistency. I think game 1 they also had 8 elims, if I'm not mistaken. So like they're just up there. They're just keeping that momentum going. Well, in fact, sorry, they had 11 eliminations all the way back in game number 1. Game 2, yeah, they got dealt that donut, but they bounced back. As we can see, of course, that play 184 meter, not the craziest one that we've seen on Sanhok before, but still a decent one. But it just shows you how condensed the fighting was coming through in this particular match, right? Because the health is not that low. We didn't see a lot of throwables being used. There was no opportunity for that to happen. The teams were just like, go, 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 go.
They were indeed. I mean, right from the very beginning, you saw that, right? As, Frisha from Lighter gonna be the one to be the MVP. 3 eliminations, 1 assist, 608 damage. That's surprising considering the big numbers that we were seeing from a bunch of the other players Frisia coming in, sneaking in that MVP of the match. And I did mention them before, didn't I? I said they had a really good game, much better than what we've been seeing from them before. And this is the proof of it. MVP, GG's Frisia. But yeah, interesting. I wonder how that's going to shape up both the leaderboards and the next couple of games.
Well, only one way to find out, right? You got to get that calculator out and start mathing, because yeah, that's the only way we'll know. But a good result coming through from OOC, as well as Goat and Tiam and Lida, all hitting those double digits. But I like the 13s across the board. A very healthy dose of a very healthy serving rather of points, making its way in. TPS, as we mentioned before, also needed a few points for the day, and they got their first 4 right there. So everybody, at least for the day now, have been able to secure points. So I think it's looking pretty good here. I mean, Lida, TPS, the only 2 that were yet to do that, and they went over and beyond, right? Got 4, got 10. So it is looking pretty positive. And of course, still, Galatasaray not getting the 20 ridiculous amounts of eliminations this game around, which I think is quite good, at least for the morale of the rest of the teams. But as you can see, things are now starting to even out a little bit more towards the top of the board, right? We don't have 40 points anymore. We are down to, what, 36-point difference? No, that's not 6, that's 34. 34 points difference between first and second. So the gap is slowly starting to close. But I think it's going to be up to the teams chasing for pole to see if they can actually catch up to Galatasaray today still.
Yeah, because I think going into day 3, it's going to be very difficult for any of these teams to do a lot. I mean, yeah, still 5 games, but I think Galatasaray are going to be back to putting on their winning faces. And yeah, I think you have to be as close as possible. You're right. So we need to see how much that gap can close in the next 2 games. The player focus nowhere near being different than it has been from the beginning of the evening. But again, that all could change in the next 2 games. We just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Yeah, we could definitely, we definitely will have to wait, but I'm pretty sure that the teams are gonna put in a very strong effort to try and change that. Right, from what we've seen so far, just the pacing in general, working through the day, I mean, it's looking pretty positive. The teams are doing good work, getting a very steady flow of points. I mean, the Wildcats, prior to this last match, they had 41 points already accrued for the day, right? Just in 2 matches, they had 41 points, right? So, hey, we might be onto something.
We might be onto something indeed, and we'll see if the teams are onto something in the next game. Gonna be Miramar. But first, of course, we're gonna take a short break. Go grab your popcorn, go grab your drinks, and we'll be right back in a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. We're getting ready for the fourth game of the evening. It is going to be Miramar, and this is where it all starts heating up. If we thought it wasn't hot enough before the first half of, or the halfway point of the entire finals, it's going to get that way now. It's going to get boiling, almost as hot as is in South Africa, DK. But yeah, we're going to be looking at a lot of spicy stuff, especially going over to those sands of Miramar.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm already ready for the desert, right?
Yeah.
It's like it can just bring it on as we hop straight on in. We are going to be making our way through to see where the teams will have to get themselves situated. But interestingly enough, though, we've been seeing two teams giving it a lot of effort today, and then we've got strong efforts, strong attempts being brought in by a few others, right? So Wildcats, they've just unleashed the beast. Maybe they got a bit of catnip somewhere. I don't know. Something's happening. R8 also, right? Both teams, so they've just really let it loose so far today, right? The Wildcats on 43 points for the day. R8 Sapphire on 39 points, so only 4 points separating them. And that's all basically just down to eliminations, right? They are pretty even with regards to eliminations. So that just shows you that, yeah, these teams, they're not messing around. They are ready to go. And I mean, the aggression extends all the way to Fenerbahce, right? So we got OOC, Red Team Blossom, as well as Fenerbahce Esports, all still packing in quite a bit of heat with regards to those eliminations. We did see Mel's Nova, as well as Goat Invicta and AOR Silently. But they are obviously going to try and find that bit of a balance to even it out with the placement points as well. Speaking of balance, though, not noobs. They've got company.
They do. This is a very interesting turn of events here. We're going to have a hot drop down at the south side, where the zone most likely is not going to be. And both these teams, I mean, R8, there's no way R8 doesn't know that not noobs go here. So this is a purposeful hot drop here. R8 are looking for early eliminations here as the zone goes all the way over to those cliffs of southeast side. But sheesh, manish, Batman, we are in for a game here between the zone and between these two teams. It's going to get spicy.
Who's Batman?
I'm Batman.
Oh, but where's the voice?
I'm Batman.
You're going to do the whole, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
There we go. Yes. I almost believe you now. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, for not noobs, this is not a spot they want to find themselves in. They've only had 4 points so far today. And a big majority of their points came through from placement.
Right.
So yeah, I hope, at least for the side here of not noobs, that they can fend off the assault coming through here from R8. That's what I'm hoping for, at least for them. R8 though, looking at it from their perspective, they just like points. Let's get some more, right? And it's unfortunate that they decided to hard drop right onto the side here of not noobs. But yeah, maybe not noobs can do something. We'll find out soon.
Yeah,
we'll just have to wait and see how this one pans out.
Indeed, yeah, that's gonna be. Oh, I thought they didn't see her for a second. No, they are going to take her out, though. So that's the first point going their way here. 1,700 meters to zone, though, is quite a stretch, especially when you're considering how close to the edge of the map they are. So that blue is going to start hitting them within a minute, right? It's not going to be like, a minute and a half till it gets to them because they're kind of mid-map. It's not. They're on the very edge here. So the zone's going to hit them quicker. They've got farther to go, and they've also got this hot drop. From what I understand, the only hot drop on the entire map. Yeah, no one else is really anywhere within shooting distance of each other, and they're all kind of spread out, focusing on getting that loot before they go elsewhere into the map. But yeah, this is going to be quite the one to watch.
Yeah, we might maybe have a little bit of a potential something up in towards Pecado, but again, it's not confirmed, so we'll just wait and see what Lida and the Wildcats are going to be doing towards that region. They are moving closer, but they've not necessarily committed to anything just yet. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. San Martin also respectfully quiet, right? AOR kind of tasting the water towards the north with 2 of their players. That is going to be Matesha and Gitty. But other than that, yeah, it is pretty quiet across the board here. So it's up to what Not Noobs and R8 can kind of bring through to this. And I mean, even if R8 decide to disengage from here, they've actually hampered quite a bit of, or rather impeded quite a bit of the looting process here for Not Noobs. Because as you've mentioned, the Blue's going to catch up with them. And now that they're on the defensive, they can't really move around too much. They can't loot up and get what they need to get themselves into those next few phases. So, yeah, this is an interesting decision being made by R8.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's not against a team that is normally more up against them, right? As you said, Not Noobs only have had 4 points in this evening in these last 3 games. So they're not really a threat to R8, right? You could understand if they hot dropped someone who either dealt them a bad hand in the Sanhok or were closer to them and they wanted to get rid of them so they could just play their game. But in this case, it's not the case in either of those scenarios. So it's an interesting reaction from R8 for sure. I think possibly you're starting to see R8 back off a little bit. They thought that maybe if they could get that one knock, they get that momentum, right? But it does look like they've separated a little bit, and with that zone now coming in, I think the wise thing here would be just to go, okay, we've got that one elimination, and I think we can just leave now.
Yeah, I mean that would be the play that makes the most sense, right? But I mean, who knows? Maybe Not Noobs can still find a way to rise to the occasion. Maybe they can still beat out the side here of R8. I like that they've gone for a bit of a flank. Not Noobs, right? They've got one player up on that bridge. So that could maybe help them gain a little bit of leverage onto the side here of R8, as Lara has taken quite a bit of damage. But Not Noobs, though, not necessarily in a position to do all too much with the current angles here. But that bridge, I think that is going to be the position to look for.
Absolutely. I wonder if TPES kind of heard those shots being fired over in the city, right? Because I almost want to say that TPES could try and gatekeep this, go up over to that area just below the A of Chumacera there, and try and do something with that third party or with that gatekeep position. I almost want to say they could do something like that, but I don't really know. Now, what we do know is that Not Noobs are fighting back, and fighting back with a vengeance. However, it is only a solo left alive, and that first fight was good, but not good enough here. And R8 are going to be able to get this full reset through, but with no medication, and that zone starting to, pack a bit of a punch considering the length of the just 1.9k meters they got to go. This is severely slowing them down.
Yeah, I think Kiss made a good call disengaging, rather prioritizing survivability over anything else. But now the problem comes is, does Kiss have anything to work with? Any meds? Right? And I don't think the answer is an astounding yes. So it's going to be a tough play, though, for the Not Noobs team to continue to play further into this game. R8, though, I think they stayed there a little bit too long, right? I think once the blue zone was close to them, seeing that they weren't all too successful with their initial plan, I would have thought that they disengage and go for a bit of a setup elsewhere with regards to that zone. But unfortunately for them, that's not quite how it panned out. But yeah, we did see a little bit of aggression coming through there from Galatasaray as well, finding Zeus along the way. But Zeus now have quite a few teams moving in, right? We've got OOC towards their southern side. We've got IDA even further south from that. We've got the players from LIDA moving up to their north. So Zeus are getting encircled as the zone kind of shifts up ever so slightly, allowing for even more continuation of the aggression here.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for Zeus because they have good splits and they have good ideas and good rotations, but somehow they always seem to be in the middle of all these different teams, and normally it's the stronger teams as well, right? You see them losing one to Galatasaray, for instance. Now OOC is looming over top of them, and OOC have had a pretty good run here today, so it's not really a team you want to go up against in those early stages. You know that they're doing well, they're on a roll, they have that momentum. So not sure what Zeus need to do to change that or to tweak that a little bit so it's not always in the thick of it all the time, but we'll see how they can navigate it in this game alone. And the Wildcats, this is one that we want to see more from. I mean, we started to see it, right? We have that one win on the last Miramar. Can they make it a second one? That would be kind of awesome. They're looking quite good here with this split that they're maintaining in the vehicles. They're moving through this next zone, trying to find a position that suits them, as the zone is going to go over. I mean, it centers up, but it goes slightly north. So truck stop is still in the center, or not in the center. Truck stop is in the north of zone, obviously, but La Bandita is in the center. Impala is also in the center. And we're going to be moving away from Los Leones unless there's a hard shift.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one to see if anything will come through from that either, though. They're going to be just sending it up as they rush up onto the side here of Mel's Nova. Finds a bit of an opening, a bit of an angle. But are they going to be able to push all the way through to the very finish? Oh, look at that, though. A nice response for Fireshine going through with a vehicle, trying to pull it up. But again, Fireshine is going to be the potential lone survivor for the team here. So not quite done with Mel's Nova. Got to find a way to kind of just approach this. And for the time being, that might be just looking to dip in behind the ridge lines and just get out of this very sticky situation.
My goodness me. Yeah, that's unfortunate for Ida, but Mel's can't be too comfy either. Look at Goat there, just trying to zoom around and scout out a little bit, but looks like she might just pass on that one. Fireshine might not pass, though. Nice little shots coming through there very, very quickly, but I think there was a little bit of a response from somebody else, and she's thought the better of it. She is going to go elsewhere and just try and heal up here. Mel's does take out her player, just finish that up, so 2 eliminations, not too bad, but being a solo this early in the game, oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's not necessarily what you would have wanted. I don't think that's necessarily what anybody plans for. But, you know, sometimes that's just the cards that you are dealt. But as we've seen from Fireshine, you know, she's capable of quite a few things. So I'm curious as to what her next decision will be. R8, they've also just joined us, making it up out of the blue. Coming in on that far southern side. And I think they are the most southern team that we currently have moving their way in. Kiss also from Not Noobs has made it all the way up on towards the north. But yeah, gotta be a little bit careful. So we got a few solos scattered throughout this map. The teams will definitely have to keep an eye on that. But I like this play here for the Wildcats. They found a bit of an angle onto the side here of Galatasaray. It is still quite a bit of a distance, so not necessarily expecting all the shots to make perfect connections, but I think it's a good play here for the Wildcats just to try and reduce their health bars and, of course, those meds coming through on the side of Galatasaray.
Oh, but Goat decided to full send here. A nice little split coming in from them. Over onto the duo of Mel's Nova. Mel's need a really good game here. They've had a good night so far, but they'd really like to cement that with an outstanding performance here. But Goat might make that very difficult for them. Yes, they have 3 eliminations, but there's only 2 of them left upstanding. If they can get to a top 5, they can still get that win, right? A duo, we've seen them win the games before, but they cannot if Goat decide to take them out, and it certainly looks that way, that Go are definitely intending on making them their next 2 eliminations.
Well, let's see if it will come through. I like the fact that we have more and more teams now just starting to converge. Goat, yep, there goes the play. It is going to be quite the bit of a dent dealt into the side of Mel's. But, yeah, where will they take this fight next? Because they got quite a few teams towards their north, right? Quite a few options. And they still have D1. Just holding on for bare life, but absolutely getting encircled. GOAT, Invicta, absolutely relentless. As we do say goodbye to our first team for this match. The zone, of course, has taken a slight shift up back towards the north,
Ooh.
again towards La Bendita.
I love La Bendita. It's such a fun place to play, and we rarely see it in esports, so I'm very happy that it's coming over here. I was going to mention before that zone shift that Fenerbahce, one of the few teams that were an outlier compared to the rest that all went for that central position, and it's paid off for them, right? They now have those cliffs of Minas Generalis. They're going to be able to get all of these teams that are moving in. TIAM going to be one of them, AOR, Lighter potentially, as well as S2G if they decide to move further in as well. So there's going to be a lot of chaos on the front side, or the south side, and Fenerbahce could be in an excellent position to take advantage of it.
Well, let's see how it plays. Fenerbahce could definitely look to do exactly that, but it's not going to be an easy task, right? Because we find them all the way up towards the north, kind of within a few compounds. So there might still be a little bit of something that could come through. And I'm expecting quite a few teams now to move in that general direction. But down south, it's still going to be a little bit of a hornet's nest here, as we've got quite a few players all vying for a spot, trying to get themselves situated up in towards zone. Wildcats could actually look to push onto the side there of the Bonfire squad, as they've been looking to continue that momentum they've been able to have throughout the prior games here today. So far, not a single elimination or any points to their name just yet, as we do move further and further through this third stage. But it does seem like a little bit of the congestion towards the southern side is now starting to slightly dissolve, as the teams are committing to a more northern rotation.
And that's the safest play, right? The problem happens is when all of the teams go, this is going to be super busy, let's go north, but every single one of them does that, and so now you've got the exact same fight, but just on the north side instead. So they have to be careful of that, and R8 look to be trying to clear that crowd, thin through everybody there as they take some shots over, and the Wildcats as well see that Galatasaray is there and go, oh, never mind, let's go elsewhere. Over onto La Bandita, though, look, you've got OOC, you've got, who is that? Oh, yeah, Zeus and Lighter as well, all in that area. So that could be a really interesting point of contention as well, because they're all still situated. They're there now. They've arrived, and now they can fight.
Yes. Let's see if they will be fighting. That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious as to what's going to come of that crater, right? Is anybody going to maybe look to occupy that eastern side of it? Because that's pretty much center zone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a nice bit of elevation to try and play off of. Speaking about elevation, Hilal, going to try and get up onto the roof to elevate the angles here. And there's only one team, maybe two teams to really look at all the way from that position. Meanwhile, onto the edge of zone, Leora spots out a bit of that rotation now coming through, as it is going to be the players from R8 just trying to cram on up, finding themselves in a bit of a blockage. But they are going to try and do their best to move either through that or around it. Or it might not even be needed, as, well, GOAT decide to move on. There's still going to be a bit of that spray coming through from Galatasaray, and they're always going to be there just trying to do a little bit of a something.
Yes, ooh! DK, that's an in the elimination feed. That's an I'm so happy. We have a snip snub in esports right now, and it's an as well. It's a bolt action over on Miramar. I want to see the distance of that first of all, but TPES do go out here in a fight with Tiam. So that's going to be Tiam up to 4 eliminations just like that. Oiku does go down there. Hisiko snatching up her first elimination on the board here. Their fourth for R8 and Tiam and AOR now. AOR, the queens of third party, they do this time and time again, and now Tiam have to back out of this because they are just a duo and they want to stay alive as long as possible.
Yep, they definitely want to try and do exactly that. Now comes the go time though here for R8 as Gucci just crests that hill, spots Melcy. Let's see if the rest of the Wildcats are going to allow for any of this to continue to be the play. Melcy now doubling back, trying to maybe come in behind Gucci and Mali. This could be a very sneaky play. Mali, though, does find the play up onto Elam. Oh, Mali continuing to just clear it up. And that is just one player now. It's Melcy, who also gets caught, and down they go. It's going to be the Istanbul Wildcats next. Roya making their way back to the lobby. At least, though, they found a point, right? So they're not going back empty-handed.
No, they're not going back empty-handed at all. And so far, DK, all the teams that have gone out have at least 1 point. So that's really nice to see from them as well. Oh, Galatasaray getting caught in a very rare low ground moment, right? S2G able to nade down onto them, and this is going to be that push for a very vital compound inside of zone. I can see why Galatasaray want it, but this group up down the valley here is not the best look for them, and those nades are being a testament to that.
Well, let's see if those nades are going to make the necessary connections. S2G, though, trying to find a little bit of a spread, right? They don't want to all get huddled up in one particular point. Can't say the same here for Galatasaray as they caught themselves down on that slight bit of a dip. And it makes it quite easy for those grenades to just bounce their way on in. But it doesn't seem like S2G are overly committed to getting all too aggressive just yet, right? They are giving the Galatasaray a little bit of breathing room, right? There's a chance for them to get that quick reset to come on in as the shots continue to fly on through. Yeah, Galatasaray has brought their player back up on their feet, and this could maybe come back to bite S2G as they've now kind of provoked the bear just hiding on the other side of the ridge. But there's another full send that's going to be coming through here from the side of Bonfire.
This could be interesting. Thankfully for S2G, actually, it looks like Bonfire is being taken out by Galatasaray and OOC here. So that stopped that side, right? So now S2G can really look towards Galatasaray again. Like you said, I am surprised that they allowed them that full reset. A couple more nades would have done the trick while they were distracted by Bonfire for a bit there. But actually now we're looking at S2G really holding them off quite well. They're not able to get that footing that they so desperately need, right? For Galatasaray to win something, they need to be able to push in, and without that foothold, it's being very difficult for them.
Yeah, it is quite difficult indeed. But let's see if this one is going to maybe come out with a bit of a different outcome here. Galatasaray also, I'm actually quite surprised that they didn't just go to town onto S2G here, and the blue is going to come shifting up pretty soon as well, so they're going to have to conclude at least a little bit of something. Bonfire as well as OOC still going to be keeping a nice tight position, but I'm looking towards OOC to really try and capitalize off of these three teams below them, because they have that elevation up towards the edge of the crater. Yes, the zone has moved up towards the north, but OOC can just ride that ridge back into safety. So I think they have quite a bit of an advantage here. And I'm actually surprised that they've not necessarily jumped at the opportunity. Speaking about opportunities, GOAT, they're going to look to risk it as well, right? They want a little piece of that biscuit as they now take their push up towards zone. And they might come in right alongside Kiss there from Not Noobs.
They might indeed. And Bonfire trying to do the exact same thing as I think everybody's doing now. The zone is in. It's too late to wait now, and R8 do go out. 7 eliminations, but they still go out early, right? OOC in full control of that ridge. Go as well, stopping Galatasaray, and as much as Galatasaray try, they're just not able to move forward whichever direction they want to go. As S2G now, it's their turn to be taken out by OOC. OOC up to 4 eliminations now. This is where things start to rack up the points, and this zone now starting to hurt pretty badly. Those nades, or rather those meds, need to get going, and they need to get inside zone, because now that zone has moved off the high ground entirely. I doubt, DK, we're going to see many actually enter.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you on that. It's going to be a pretty tough run, especially looking at that shift. But I think this is where the edge of the crater is still going to be the prime position to try and play for, because there's no compounds within that zone that we can really see. So it's all going to be down to positioning, and then some positioning alongside that as well. So yeah, the pressure is on, but who can climb up and rise up and claim their stakes here? I'm surprised that Kiss is still alive for Not Noobs, right? Just some phenomenal survivability coming through on that end. Galatasaray still looking to do quite a bit of work over on towards the edge here. OOC looking to pressure them. I like this play, but you got to watch out. Lida, they are going to be quite relentless in their own efforts, as we can see them approaching from that more western edge. Everybody trying to just play for that optimal angle here. We do say goodbye to Leora, as Goat is going to be feeling quite a bit of the pressure down to a solo, and yet they will still try and hold on as best they can. Right, so
yeah.
we have it. Yeah.
My
I mean,
thing
let's
froze.
see.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you got to put it on. How can it freeze if we're in the desert, right? It doesn't make sense. I guess it maybe does. But either which way, here we go. Fenerbahce is still in it. Oh, and out they go. A very quick response coming through as AOR just reaches in. That is going to be the end for Kiss as well. Goat following hard on their heels. And we went from a few teams down to only 3. It's going to be Lida, Tiam, hey, and AOR still in it. But who will win it? We don't know. That zone is absolutely tiny. As you can see, Red Tiam, they've got Kuai and one more player left. That's going to be Hannah. So the formidable duo now left to try and hold on. AOR already quite battered and bruised, but can Kitty make that one work? The fire is not going to help it whatsoever, and out goes AOR. We're down to the final 2. It is a full squad of Lida up against a potential solo here from Red Tiam.
Oh, and they both so desperately need this win, right? They both need the points. They both have some good points here, but it is just down to Kawhi to do something for her team. But Lighter are surrounding her, cannot do much more than that. And Lighter will be taking this Miramar, the 4th game of day 2 in style. A very nice, strong performance coming in from them.
Yeah, it was about time for Lida to step up, right? They've only been able to find 10 points prior.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is going to bode quite well for them. It's, of course, going to look quite comfortable alongside the 44 points that they've already been able to secure in all the previous matches. So, it's about time that they continue to kind of stoke that fire. And, I mean, yeah, I'm not surprised at all, because as we know, they showed their capabilities coming through week 1, week 2. Now moving into the finals, they keep that, keep the stakes pretty high.
Yeah, they do. It's a really, really nice job from them to continue that momentum forward, to make sure they don't go too far down those leaderboards, even if they are having a bit of a rough day. It's certainly not been the day that we've seen in the past, but it's definitely not a bad day at all. You know, you can't always go all out all the time, and it's been a really consistent day from them. We keep seeing them in those final circles. We keep seeing them have a couple of points here and there, and this time they're able to bring all of that together into one win. That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's going to be quite big, but we'll see just how big, in fact, it will be as we move on in here. It's going to be 6 eliminations in total for the side here of Lida Esports. We did see, of course, their player get the MVP in the previous match, I believe it was, right? Or game number 2. So, yeah. Good follow through that we have right here coming full circle. But now the big question is, will they have the MVP award yet again? And of course, only taking 657 damage is going to look quite nice there for them. But it's going to be Goat, though, that will be securing the longest hit. And again, some heavy utility usage coming through here.
Yes, indeed. And more healing than we're used to seeing as well, right? There was a lot of players still out in that blue zone throughout the stages as well. So we will see what happens there in the Erangel. I wonder if it's going to go up or down. We'll see how that zone ends up going. But yeah, 271 meters, longest distance elimination, Lita 6. I didn't actually see who had the so I don't know if that's her with that, but we will see. And oh, it's Kawhi, MVP of the match. Last player standing there for her team at the end there. 4 eliminations, 2 assists, and 1,000 damage. Ding, ding, ding. Bell of 1,000 damage going over to her for this game.
Yeah, well done, well played. I mean, it was about time for Etiam to step it up, and they stepped up quite a bit, right? This last match looking pretty good for them. Of course, they've already been able to secure themselves 20 points so far for the day. And I think day 2 is definitely the day for comebacks. right? Because we've seen quite a few teams that were in much need of points doing exactly that, right? Accomplishing their goals here for the day. And I'm curious to see how they're going to look to continue with that flow, right? Will we see that be the situation all the way up onto the very last match? But to close this game off, though, yeah, you can't fault what Kawhi has done on this one. 4 eliminations and those 2 assists. That is definitely going to help the team quite a bit as they now pull up onto 15 points. 1 point behind Leader Esports with that glorious winner chicken dinner. But of course, the points continue to move further down, right? We got AOR on 9, we got GOAT on 9, we got OOC and RA coming through with 7 points respectively.
What I love here is that I think this is probably the first game, possibly, certainly of the day, that we're seeing no teams with 0 points. Everybody got at least 1 point, where that's a really, really nice thing to see, that everybody's trying to get those points. Everybody's succeeding in getting those points. You know, it's not going great, but it's not going wrong, right? You get those points, and points are points, as we keep saying. IWNRX, that 1 point game, not going to worry them too much, right? They're in second place. Zeus, however, they're going to feel that 1 point a little bit more, and this game is going to mean that much more to them. Again, it's a team that keep doing the right things, but unable to convert that into points, so something needs tweaking there. But going back over to that left side, we're seeing a lot of very small gaps.
Yeah, I mean, the gaps are definitely starting to close on up. The difference between first and second was 34 points. It's now 33. Slight little bit of an increase there, but R8, they've hopped all the way from 4th place up into 3rd place, right? So this last game doing quite well there for them. Bonfire, yes. Bonfire as a result, getting moved down. But of course, our dynamic duo +2, right?
That's 4.
Yeah. Well, that's the best way that I could say 4, right? Without saying 4.
But there's
the 4 ladies here from Galatasaray still holding nice and steady. There's another one just over onto the further right side, just off screen. You just can't see her, but she's there.
I see.
And Galatasaray, they've just been keeping that consistency going. Earlier, we did see Purple from Bonfire getting pretty close to, stepping up into the player focus. But yeah, it's tough, right? Galatasaray, they're not making it easy. So they did quite a bit of work on day 1, and now day 2, they can just continue to kind of keep, just adding a little bit of wood to the fire.
Right, because they've done enough. They did enough in that first day to cruise through day 2. So we'll see how that goes for them in the last match of this evening. It is going to be Erangel, but first, we're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. back, everybody. Here we go. It is the final game of day 2. We are about to hop into Erangel. Almost got it right. I almost got an opening right. Gosh darn it. Maybe next time. Maybe tomorrow. But we are going to be hopping into Erangel. Don't leave me. Don't leave me alone. Okay, we're good. We're good here. We're going to go into Erangel, and we're going to see a lot of things that will distract you from the mess that is me right now. We're going to be moving into our final game, and this is where it really heats up, DK, right? This is where we start to see those teams really start to go bit by bit towards the finish line, and those points are really starting to matter now.
Yeah. Points matter, as they always do. So it's going to be interesting to see how the teams get the point situation going. We still see a steady increase with regards to the overall points that the teams have been able to secure so far here today. Right, R8 to all the way up onto 46 points. We got the Wildcats on 44. We got Red Tiam on 35. OOC and Lider on in excess of 25 points each. So, yeah, things are looking good, right? The teams are definitely trying to climb it up. But what I like especially is the fact that Lider, right, this last game that we saw from them, it's done amazing things for them with regards to just the overall points that they've had for the day. Yes, it didn't change their position on the rankings. They were in 7th, and they were still in 7th, but they've just solidified their position, right? They're only trailing by 1 point behind OOC right now. So that's great. And it's funny because they also trailing by 3 points behind OOC for the day in general. So, the consistency is there. But now it's all going to boil down to this final match. And I'm curious as to where all the teams are going to be looking to go, and as well as what that zone is going to be doing, because the last few zones that we've seen have all moved up towards the north. So luckily, it does seem like the flight path is maybe going to change that, as we could maybe go down to Quarry or Primorsk, or over towards Prison and Shelter, or even all the way down to that southern island.
We could indeed, and only time will tell here. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, there we go. We are going to be going over to Shelter and Prison. That is still inside of zone, but we are centering up more around that hillside between Rozhok, Yasnaya, and Shelter. So that's a really nice little central position to have there if you're one of these teams. I do want to point out, though, we are seeing a little bit of a different drop location for a couple of the teams as well, though. You've got AOR onto that western side. We haven't seen them there in a long while. And Not Noobs actually going up to Stalber instead, going for that northern positioning. So a nice little shift of drop spots coming through here, and Fenerbahce not liking this at all. One does go down to Tiam here, as you saw them on that map, just getting a little bit too close for comfort to a lot of teams over there.
Yeah, so I was just quite distracted by Liot's character here. I'm trying to figure out where all that hair went. I've heard of buns before, but I mean, like, if that helmet comes off, the hair is like, it looks like wings, right? So how do you fold all of that up under a small little helmet like that? Doesn't make sense.
I cannot imagine.
Hey, game physics, right? It's amazing. Anything is possible. So, yeah, you were talking about the hits that were coming through at the expense of Fenerbahce there, of course, going onto the side of Red Tiam. I think it's a good start, like a little bit of an altercation in the early phases of the game. But unfortunately, it does seem like there's not going to be too much of that continuation of aggression just yet, right? The rest of Red Tiam are all up here, up in Yasnaya Poliana, and they're going to have to share with Mel's Nova as well as Ida Esports just off in the distance. But I mean, looking at what we've had so far happening for Ida Esports and Mel's Nova today, I think this would be a good opportunity for Ida Esports to step it up, right? To just have a bit of fun, get more points, because they've been able to gain 13 points so far for the day. Another team that also has 13 points for the day is Galatasaray, right? But that's okay, because they have 106 total points. They are leading by 38 points ahead of second place, right? So if they get 13 points or if they get 5 points today, it doesn't really matter. They have quite a bit of a lead. So it's going to be up to the rest of the squads now to play that catch-up game. And I like the fact that the Wildcats have put in quite a bit of effort so far today to do exactly that. Them, and of course R8, as we've seen. Bonfire, yeah, they've not had the same kind of day as they had yesterday, which is surprising. But they've still been, you know, consistently securing those points. Not necessarily being all too aggressive. Only 7 eliminations for the day so far. So it's interesting to look at all these numbers and how they all just break down.
It is very interesting when you think of that, you know, you put those numbers into perspective of Bonfire constantly being way outside of the zone, right? And always opting for that late rotation coming into zone. It's always zone 3, zone 4 before we even see them out of the blue, let alone in a fight, right? So they are getting those small placement points, but the momentum and the force behind that has been lacking tonight. Here we might see a different outcome for them, though. They are in the center of zone this time. There's no way that they're going to be out in the blue for a long time unless they purposefully put themselves in the blue zone. So this might actually work out better. Maybe for this last game, they've decided to go kind of all out here. This zone is allowing them to actually put that into practice, and they'll be able to get a good point game to end the night.
Yeah, I mean that could definitely be the case here, right? We'll find out whether or not that is going to unfold. And fortunately, we still have a decent chunk of time to see how all of this plays out. So interesting positions and angles that we have across the board. As I like a bit of a convergence that we have in towards center zone. OOC are heading in. R8 are heading in. Zeus already there. Bonfire relatively close. We've got Atlas, who we saw being quite aggressive yesterday. Set up quite nicely, quite close towards that shelter angle. I think Atlas might actually be inside a shelter as opposed to, you know, above on the surface. But we'll find out in due course exactly what's going to be happening. But it does seem like we've got a mass migration.
Yeah.
You know, the big exodus out of Yasnaya Poliana. Everybody is like, and leave, right? You've got loot, and let's get going. And there's only one team left, and that is Red Tiam. They are still in Yasnaya. Everybody else is left.
Wow, they really have, haven't they? There's just, as you said, been a mass exodus out of there, all flooding the hills and the fields of Yasnaya there. Go and TPES, the only teams outside of the zone right now, and TPES still in Zarki. They've gone for a very long rotation into zone here, and they're not starting just yet. So we'll see what they do. Go as well should have a fairly good entrance into the zone on that south cliff or south coast side as well. So we'll see what happens there with them. But yeah, you're right. The majority of these teams are all pushing for the center. We're going to be seeing quite a few clashes now because it's very open in that area of the map.
Yeah, Potato Hill, surprisingly empty. Galatasaray are going to be happy with that, right? They can just knock themselves about and see what they can do. Very sparkly skins that we've got right here, looking interesting. I'm not quite sure if Max would be jealous of those sparkly skins, but sure.
Probably.
Right? He's always like, oh, look at the car skins. Look at the car skins.
He's a sparkly guy.
I mean, yeah, and it's a Bentley, right? Why not? Zooming in on the name so we could see the undercarriage there. Thank you so much, Zeros. But in the meanwhile, we're going to hop back over onto Not Noobs, who are also on the bandwagon of Let's Play for Center Zone, right? Getting pretty close towards that. You know, it would be hilarious if the zone took a hard shift, like, I don't know, to Lipovka or Multa Power, maybe over to Pachinki, you know, somewhere that's like just way out there and just completely outside of where the teams thought the zone might potentially go. That'd be quite funny to see. I don't think the teams are going to like that all that much, but, you know, yeah, maybe.
Since when do we care what they want?
Yeah, we just have a bit of a sick sense of humor sometimes, I guess, right? But speaking about sick, though, look at this.
Whoa.
It's going to be R8 and Not Noobs having a bit of a stare down here as they, Not Noobs, decide to move into the museum, right? Just going to, yeah, appreciate a little bit of the art that we have inside, maybe.
Yes, indeed. Oh, yes, indeed. Looking for some refined, you know, tastes in amongst all the chaos of this zone and of these games coming in. They just want some peace and quiet for once. I personally would love if Hmm?
I'm sure there's tea in there as well.
Oh, I could go for a cup of tea right now. Girls, invite me, please. I want a cup of tea in the museum. But what I was going to say is I'd love to see, speaking of hard shifts, I'd love to see the zone actually go up towards TPS. Go straight hard shift to Rozhok. TPS only girls in zone, and watch the rest of them just fall apart because they're like, oh my god, what is this? We did this so perfectly. We have the perfect position in zone, and then you hard shift. I mean, that would be kind of fun, but I don't want to be too toxic, okay? We're not here for us. We're here for them to showcase the amazing talents of these girls. And so to showcase that effectively, they have to have the correct zone. So hopefully all the teams get all the zones that they want. And we'll see how Not Noobs go forward with this one, because for them, they did go over to Museum, as you said, but they're not satisfied. They're looking up towards Shelter, and they actually want a bit more of that high ground position. So good for them. We'll see how that goes for them. I do want to bring to your attention, though, DK, AOR still have a split over by Milta Power and that entire area to the east of Milta. You do start to see them come in now, but still, they're still very much out there.
Yeah, I mean, and after all of that, Neb zoned out a little bit when the zone shift came through. It went over to the west, right? So not an aggressive shift, but
No.
Potato Hill is pretty much smack dab center. Speaking about center, oh yes, indeed, Hannah has now centered up that scope onto the side of Fireshine. As Fireshine gets snuffed out, and that is Ida down to a two-piece. It's going to be Athena and Yildiz that are going to be looking to find the next bit of a safe haven. Maybe over to the east they could find exactly that, but they're going to have to contest against the side of TPES. Maybe even apartments, but that is where the Wildcats are lying in wait, right? They've engaged that stealth mode yet again. So curious to see how that one's going to play out as Pinky goes popping, sends it up into the side of R8, and Purple also just claiming a quick little bit of a sneaky elim right then and there. And it is absolute chaos, carnage, and mayhem down on towards the southern side of zone.
Isn't it just? And Galatasaray up ahead have just these teams that probably are going to be limping in. Hang on, Lila using a horse? Using a horse as she comes through, and those teams are unable to pinpoint her down. So there we go. Uh-oh. Sita, there we go. Manages to get that vehicle onto the right side. Purple does, in fact, and now she's going to go straight for Kiss here. Does get the elimination. GG's, perfectly placed there. And now the rest of Not Noobs, they're going to have to find another way to do this, because you got this big, strong defense coming in from Bonfire here. We're starting to see this team inch towards a better placement.
Ooh, but that was an interesting play, though. I mean, well, Kiss getting kissed with a vehicle, right? Not the kind of kiss that I think Kiss was looking to get there, but like, hey, you know, it works.
Yep.
But yeah, like, I also wanted to say when we saw that horse running and the player was, you know, getting fired upon and just decided to say, nay, we'll just continue to rush further forward. But yeah, Bonfire showing some decent aggression right here, trying to lock it up as they essentially put down their anchor, right? They're like, well, you know, this is going to be us, at least for the time being. And we'll see what the rest of the teams are going to look to do, as they also yet need to move on forward. S2G, though, all the way up on the far north. They got TPES not too far away from them, but I don't see TPES necessarily posing any immediate dangers, at least for the time being. AOR, they've kind of condensed that split. They still have Anissa all the way out towards Milta, but Anissa is going to be trying to climb back up the hill to join the rest of the team over in the Lumberyard. Speaking about Lumberyard, it is going to be S2G and TPES throwing some logs at each other. As you can see, the utilities now just sending it out all over the place. And these two teams now going to try and vie for this compound. And it could be quite a bit of a controlling position up towards the north of zone.
Oh, absolutely could be. It's vital for both of these teams that they're the one that comes out on top here. And TPES were overrun a little bit, but they're fighting back really nicely here. Lucy is down, and the rest of STG seem unable to make an actual push inward. They're just stuck on the outside here, and I think they might decide this is a little bit of a failed push. You do see Reese coming over to bandage up, get a little bit of that ground cover between them. But it does look like, I don't know, I kind of feel like this is going to be a retreat now. They're inching towards their vehicles. They're boosting up. They're going to be getting in their cars. And yeah, this is going to be a push away. They cannot continue this fight. They tried it and it did not work. So now back to those buildings.
Yeah, I think it's a good call, but of course that rotation needs to go a little bit wider and a little bit south, because that's where the zone has gone, and that's what you call self-defense, right? As
Yes.
STG come flying into what was surrounding that building right then and there. But yeah, realistically, I want to see them take that southern play, trying to find the next approach to take moving in towards the zone, because we did see quite a bit of a shift in tactics here, right? We did have quite a few teams just trying to play for center zone in the previous phase. This one, they're all moving away from center, right? They're getting in their vehicles and they're moving back out to the edges, which is a very interesting shift in the approach here. Of course, quite a few teams still towards that southern side find themselves in pretty close proximity. So I'm curious as to how that is going to play out for the time being. And the Wildcats getting really close to Fenerbahce here. So you got to watch it. Fenerbahce could definitely throw a few spanners in the wheels.
They absolutely could. Here you go. That's going to be the first coming through there for them. And I kind of wanted Fenerbahce to actually make some noise towards them earlier than this, because now, by their silence, they've given Wildcats, they've given them an opening into shelter. They've given them that space. Whereas if they had shot at them a little bit earlier, they could have warded them off like they're doing exactly now to TPES, right? They're saying, oi, get out of here. Go away. We don't want you. Shoo. It's not happened with the Wildcats. So now the Wildcats have control of one of the positions of shelter and also that underground area as well. But what's happening in the elimination feed? DK, Bonfire, and S2G having an explosive, interaction. I would say. It looks like in the elimination feed we might lose a couple there as we look towards that zone and towards that those rotations coming through. Ida, the only player not in zone right now, and TPES might just have their comeuppance with OOC as well. But I will say, DK, the eliminations are not coming as quickly as we've seen in previous games.
Yeah, they're not coming in hot and fast, right? They just they're trickling in. But that's going to change pretty soon. Once we hit stage number 4, we're going to have some more action making its way in here. It's going to be Zuzu. I would guess that's how you said it previously. Just holding a nice little bit of a blending angle there next to the tree. Just trying to get a good assessment as to what OOC might be doing. But they can't hold that angle for too long because S2G is moving in right behind them. And of course, Fenerbahce is still going to be trying to do their thing up in towards that shelter angle. But as you've mentioned, Wildcats, they've already gained quite a bit of territory. So it is going to be difficult for Fenerbahce to regain a lot of that ground. And yeah, I think Zuzu here is playing with fire with S2G just over on towards the edge here. Aura also just waiting in the vehicle. It could be quite a bit of a surprise up for grabs. We'll find out soon what is going to happen.
Oh, no.
But S2G, do they have a player AFK there? Is Aura there or still loading in, or what's happening?
There is no way. She's got this. She's moving now. Oh my goodness, the timing on that, DK. I cannot believe the timing. Oh my goodness me. Just as Zuzu gets inside there, does Aura go, oh, I'm here. Let's move forward and get on with the rest of the game. That's crazy timing coming through, but it works out in her favor there, and she's going to be able to just take a breather, be in the shelter, be in that shed, and wait for the next point to come across here as the zone has moved again. We're going to be going down to that south side. We're going directly onto farm, and I don't think 16 teams can survive any longer, DK. This is where we're starting to see a lot of numbers fly.
Yeah, numbers fly, players fly, vehicles fly. Anything and everything is going to start flying right about now as we have an absolute hot mess down on towards the southern side of zone.
Yep.
Well, in fact, the entire zone is just a hot mess. 16 teams rather, 51 players, all trying to cram into the little bit of ED space that they've got to work with here. It is going to be tough. And We'll see who will be the toughest, right? Who will be able to survive? As you can see, those knocks now starting to light up in the feed. TPS, we've got the players there from Bonfire feeling the heat. Like just running this way and that. Zeus moving in alongside them. Purple scoping in from the top of the hill, just poking in back up to the side of Zeus. It is absolute carnage, and of course, well, a few players still on the outskirts of zone, not necessarily getting involved in the fights just yet, but Bonfire trying to outlast, and it is going to be Atlas who will be falling. As now Bonfire hold on to a two-piece. It's going to be Purple and Layla. They have a bit of an opportunity onto the side here of OOC. Ooh, that nade could be exactly that chance. Does find a bit of damage onto Bizumi. But now, what is the response going to be from OOC? Well, not much, it seems, as Bizumi gets zoomed up as the grenade connects on up. Amaya trying to quickly get themselves patched up. And, I mean, Bonfire just lighting it up all over the place.
They sure are, but they're getting lit up as well. Zeus finally making some moves here. You're seeing them in the background, taking out one or two of Bonfire here. So Purple is just that solo now, right? So now she's about to get pushed on up onto OOC, and again, the timing is crazy with this one. They timed that really, really well. Those are going to be probably some utilities coming in. She's trying to pressure them. They're trying to pressure her. Amaya is down here, and that's the response coming in from OOC. They will take her out eventually. There are 3 eliminations going over to Purple. That's going to be 6 for them total, but they aren't the first ones to go out. That is crazy that you can survive 20 minutes and still be in 16th place.
Yeah, and I mean, we did see the zone shifting quite aggressively down to farm, and it's continued to keep up with that trend. We do see the Wildcats also now falling to the pressures, to the sprays, and out they go in 15th place now. We've got 14 left to go. Still not a lot of space to work with as we are approaching the end of stage number 5. TPES are going to be the next one to take a ticket as they walk out of here with 3 eliminations up. You can see Lighter Esports also just holding up nice and steady towards the center part of that zone. We're looking towards the north, right? There's no easy way to play through this. Not Noobs also still trying to find an approach that could maybe work out for them. Fenerbahce opting to do exactly the same. We've got 3 teams all still held over the edge, and in the next few seconds, things are going to get real tough.
I wouldn't want to be in this game, DK. I really wouldn't. I'm quite happy being up here where just watching all of this, because this is slightly insane. Goat going out there, 1 elimination on the board. That's going to be them for this evening. Not Noobs. Have some work cut out for them, that's for sure. They have 2 on the board right now. They have 3 players left alive. They do have that advantage, right? I don't think Fenerbahce really know exactly where they are, so that could be good as well. But now, you're right, this exodus as the zone continues down off this hill. This is where OOC have to move in. This is where Zeus have to move in. This is where Galatasaray have to move in if they've not already. A great spray coming in there from Milta, able to take out Barbie. And that's going to be the push they need to move on forward and get out of dodge as well. They're going to get that 1 elimination at least. Rose goes down now. Galatasaray starting to make some noise.
Yeah, it looks like someone spilled a bag of Skittles all across the zone, because it's just colors all over the place. Look at this conversion. No, Zeus down to crying. Cries like, well, yeah, I'ma just sit in my car and wait and see what's gonna happen, because there's not much else that can be done, at least for the time being. I mean, Red Tiam also trying to hot blaze their way on in. It's Lighter just popping vehicles all over the place. There goes even more as not Noobs get swept under the rug. OOC, all right, Sapphire, everybody just holding on. And the numbers are tanking, as you can see. Vehicle hits coming through here. I mean, there's so much happening, the feed can't even keep up with what has already unfolded in this past few moments. But OOC managing to at least get a good bit of a foothold over on towards the edge of zone. Can't say the same here for S2G, as Aura still has quite a bit of a way to go to get back into safety. And of course, no surprise to see Galatasaray being an absolute menace, raining down chaos onto the rest of the lobby. And S2G could be the next ones to book their ticket out into the lobby.
I wouldn't be surprised if the furthest outside of zone right now, with that really strong position on that roof, that could pose some challenges. Maybe OOC will help them out a little bit here. Galatasaray do lose one, but not the roof. That's the position that they want taken out here. Mel's Dino trying her best, does go out, 2 eliminations and a 9th place finish. So that's going to be just outside of those placement points. And Amaya doing her best, Galatasaray doing their best. S2G just trying to survive a little while longer. This is going to be a good regroup here from Galatasaray, though. A nice little regroup onto this higher building inside of zone with their teammate. S2G do go out eventually. Cat Veins goes down for the 3rd time, as does Taiga. And that's Red Tian Blossom out in 7th place, but with 3 eliminations.
Yes, they're going to look quite good for them. Ida going to be the next one, but they go out with a bag of donuts with regards to those elims. But we've got only 4 teams left. Galatasaray looking pretty strong here. They got 3 players up, but if we look over onto Leader, they still have the full squad available. So that could definitely work in their favor. OOC also trying to hold on with the 2-piece alongside AOR. But the pressure is going to be on. Amaya has been doing so much work in this match. And it's really good to see Kitty and the rest of AOR, though, going to have a pretty tough time getting back into safety. And even for OOC, it's going to be a tough run just moving back towards that zone. But does put them in quite a bit of a vulnerable position. AOR tried their best, but, well, it just wasn't on the cards for them. And now with Galatasaray and the players here from Leader that are going to be going at each other, that could definitely open up a beautiful opportunity for OOC Dreamcore.
It could indeed, but I'm loving what I'm seeing from Leader, right? We saw them win that last game. Now they're coming into their own here. They've got that momentum behind them. And here they are again, top 3, full squad. I don't know how many eliminations, but it's got to be a fair few to get this far. OOC with 5. And just that solo remaining. Oh, and she nades herself. An interesting turn of events that they must have seen, but perhaps don't really realize what's going on. But Leader, I don't think, are going to make many moves towards that. They might be trying something, but again, it's just that little bit too far, right? But interesting. Just push back anything happening just a little while longer. Maya nearly not getting spotted, but there down she goes, and Carly just has eyes at the back of her head, that one. There she goes, getting that another elimination there. That's going to be her 2nd one. Galatasaray with 8 eliminations on the board right now, looking to close out the evening with a bang here to really solidify their position.
Yeah, and they're going to look to do it in style, right? And this is one of the first matches, actually, that we've got all the way to stage 9 even.
So, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, mad respect going out to these ladies, just keeping that fire going. But I think it's a good play here for Leader Esports, right? Again, keeping up that consistency. They've been having a fairly decent day so far. We did see them get that winner chicken dinner in the previous match. So are they going to try and double down, go 2 for 2? Well, there's only one team that has a say in that, and that is going to be the side there of Galatasaray. But up they come, getting ready to kind of just end this game already as now. It is going to be Leader with quite a bit of damage dealt to them. But a quick response onto Azeros. Carly trying to ride the rage, does find a bit of an opportunity. Back in the damage. But down they go, Galatasaray to reign supreme. As they decided, you know what, it was fun, but we're going to take the chicken now.
Yeah, you know what, you've had 4 games. We're going to have a game. And I think that's so important. A big GG's going over to Galatasaray. It's important because it sets that tone for tomorrow. You know, they needed that. They might have needed that after a day of more of a passive sort of style of gameplay. They may have needed that win to just go, you know what? Now I've got to win. We're back in business. We got to go again. We got to get that momentum going today so that we can go tomorrow as well. So just some mind game stuff going on there, I think, but a very, very good game going on. And DK doesn't agree with me, but I don't care. So I'm just going to continue with my point.
I don't think Galatasaray were ever out of business.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
No, you said they're back in business.
Yeah, they're back in business figuratively. They were never out of it.
I don't think they ever decided like, nah, we're done. It's okay. But yes, just a nice little bit of a flex coming through there from Galatasaray. Yeah. And I think it's going to be, it's quite a healthy thing for them because the other teams have had full matches to really do quite a lot in, right? Galatasaray only had 13 points out of those 4 games. And now this last one, they're like, yeah, all right, let's just just make 100% sure that nobody's going to catch us anytime soon. And of course, they come through with 12 eliminations, one more than they've been collecting in all the other prior matches here today. Of course, walking away with that 1800 damage and only taking 800 damage. So yeah, a very, very comfortable and confident showing coming through from the side of Galatasaray.
Very much so indeed. Yeah. They really said, y'all came close, but that's close enough. You just stay over there, please. We're gonna keep this gap to ourselves, and that's gonna be a fair gap as well, considering that the Wildcats went out very early on, right? So that gap is going to close, but not really. I think they've really widened that gap with this last game. But 323 meters is a pretty gappy distance elimination. That's very long indeed, and Purple's going to be the one to do it. Bonfire did step up in this last game. We saw some good stuff from them, and we're going to continue to see that through until tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, because this step up here means a step up tomorrow as well.
Yeah, and Tofida is going to reign supreme for the last game, going through with those 5 elims, 3 assists, and 800 and a bit of damage to close it up. But yeah, I mean, a good performance coming through from Galatasaray yet again. But you also got to commend Leader Esports and OOC for sticking it up all the way to the very last bits of the stage. And of course, we can't forget AOR, right? AOR also just showing that they have it still, right? Not that they've ever lost it, but just reminding us yet again, right, that they are also a very, very capable team. But yeah, a really good performance coming through on that. Bonfire again, just as I said, adding a few logs to the fire as well. So a good general play. You mentioned that the Wildcats went out quite early on. And I think that was unfortunate for them, because had they been able to kind of keep that momentum going, this whole situation would have looked slightly different. And yes, that's quite a few points that we have there. That's like a 53-point lead that they have.
No, I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the Wildcats. That 1 0-point game brings them down 3 places. Lighter, OOC, and Bonfire just push straight past them and into that top 5. That is crazy, and that just goes to show you how close the points were and how close they still are. Looking at this board, I mean, even top 12, I think, could easily reach second place in that in tomorrow's games. I mean, it's very, very close.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing happened with R8, right?
Yeah.
They were in 3rd place.
That's true.
Now they're in 6th place. They also got moved down quite a considerable amount. And I mean, GOAT also moved from 5th down to 7th. AOR went from 8th to 8th, right? So they kept it consistent. But Lider, phenomenal jump. All the way from 7th up into 2nd place. So, I mean, they just ran up those standings. And there we go. Rose coming through with a nice little surprise right on the last game.
Yeah, very nicely done for her. Out of context, get their name on the board here with Rose. 19 eliminations, 3,600 damage, 11,000 survival time as well. So rivaling fairly narrowly the rest of the girls from Galatasaray as well. So a very good show here in the second day. And it really just gets you really excited for what there is going to be in store for us tomorrow.
It really does, yes, indeed. So, yep. Day 2, ending off on quite a big note, right? But not as narrow of a play as we had yesterday, right? Today, the points were much wider spread out across several teams, and I think it was a healthy day for the competition. But I think the big kicker, obviously, is going to be what's going to happen tomorrow, right? But this is where I'm curious as to what Galatasaray's approach will be leading into tomorrow's matches, right? Are they going to come in and just go like, you know what? Here come some points, and they're just going to keep on dishing them out? Or are we going to see the rest of the lobby trying to respond? Because, I mean, sure, a 50-something point gap, that's a gap that's not going to be easy to close, right?
No.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they're gonna bring quite a bit to the table.
Yeah. No, they absolutely are. It isn't a small gap at all. And the way these teams have been playing, are they going to bring more out tomorrow? We'll have to see. But we have to see, right, DK? We have to see, and they have to wait till tomorrow. And we got to give these girls a rest. They got to get a good night's sleep if they want to do well tomorrow. So we're going to let them go. We're going to let you all at home go as well. We will be back here, same time, same place. And for us, that's going to be it. We'll see you tomorrow.